see you. All right, fantastic. Hello and welcome to Penguin Live, where you have the best seat in the house for the best magic in the world. I'm your host, Dan Harlan. Thank you so much for supporting Live Magic. Now, I'm particularly excited about the gentleman that we have with us because I get to relax and do absolutely nothing, because this guy has been awarded Magician of the Year more times than any other magician at the Magic Castle. He's so versatile, in fact, that he has been awarded Magician of the Year in all of the possible categories. That's close-up, parlor, stage, and lecture. So he's got it all. So he can handle this whole thing without me. But I still have to do this. He truly understands magic. He is an expert in pure sleight of hand. The ideas that he uses are refreshing. He takes classic magic and he updates it so that it can be performed by a modern performer. The routines are beautifully executed. They're smart, engaging, and always surprising. You know him really well. He is a true master of our art. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce him. So please join me in welcoming John Carney.
How you doing? Good to see you, folks. You know, I always start these lectures with a little disclaimer, sort of. You know, these are all opinions. This is the type of magic that I do. If you like the type of magic that I do, when you watch it, if you say, oh, I'd like to do something like that, well, then listen to what I say. If you don't like it, do the exact opposite. But it's just opinions. Everybody has a different style. If one guy likes jazz, another guy likes rock, it's all music. But you pick your style. But try to be consistent or whatever. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about here was when I'm demonstrating these tricks. Maybe you say, "Oh, I don't like coin tricks. I don't like card tricks. I don't like this or that." I'm just going to pay attention to that one or two things. Well, you're going to miss a lot of stuff because the way that I construct this lecture is I use these tricks to demonstrate principles. So even if you're not going to do these tricks, you can apply these principles to anything you do, whether it's dove magic or illusions or kid shows or anything, cards, coins, it doesn't matter. It's a way of looking at your magic. It's a way of thinking about your magic. And I'm going to give you a little demonstration with something here. How much would you say that's worth? Just offhand. Oh, boy, you haven't read the paper lately. It's not worth very much, actually. But I'm going to see if I can make a little extra. I'm going to fold it like this. And when I rub it like this, you'll see that out from the center, boink, there we go. So there's a $50. So I've made back half my money already. I'll fold it the other way and give it a little rub like this. And when I do that, another one comes out. There. Oh, I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to go for one more. I'm going to roll up really slow here. Just like that. Just a little snap. And you can see right from the center of the bill, right from the center, one more coin. So that's 50 cents. That's $1, $1.50. I'm going to go for one more. Yeah. Come on. It's not working. Well, why mess with the small stuff anyway? I'll just do this. I'll change it into 100 and just leave it at that. That's pretty good. All right? Now, I love this trick. I call it the logical bill trick because it has a logical progression. You're producing coins and then it has a logical finish that you finish. But also the method is very logical too. I started working on it. There was Jerry Anders is one of the first guys to do a lot of things where you're producing coins from two playing cards. He had a trick where you tear a card in half, put the pieces together, produce a coin, tear them in half again, produce another coin, tear them in half again, and that Miser's Miracle. And it's really a terrific trick. And he had a couple other things with producing coins from a bill. And one of the basic moves that he did was he had a coin underneath the bill like this, and in the action of folding it, he would fold it like this, and then he'd fold it like that. So he's folding it at an angle, and what he does is underneath, he's going to push this like that. He's going to push it under that corner as he folds this one out. So, so that's pretty neat, but I thought it was really simple to just do this, to just snap the bill and go from one side to the other. So you can show this empty like that, and come over here and show that hand empty, and then you can roll up the bill and produce a coin from it. So that was the starting point behind this. And what I decided to do when I came up with the entire routine is I love this. It's sort of organic because you're using the finish to the routine, the climax of the routine. The $100 bill is the gimmick for the trick, right? So I take one of the coins, I put it in the top of the bill here, and I start rolling it like this. Okay, and then once it's rolled here, I fold it in half. Got to get it right to the edge so I can fold it in half. Kind of crease it nice. So there you have that. And then I'm going to put one in the center so it's just kind of loose. And then under one layer of paper, I'm going to put another coin there. So there's 3 coins. And just to make that one easier to get, I'm going to fold this corner back like that. So all I have to do is rub my finger on the bottom, and that coin will come out. Now what you have here is a nice, neat little package that's not going to make any noise. There's layers of paper in between each coin, so it's not going to make any noise. And that's the only coin that can come from that direction. That's the only one, so you can't get them mixed up. If you tilt it, it's going to slide out, as long as it's a crisp $100 bill. If it gets kind of old in your pocket or something, it might not slide as smoothly. That's the only one that can come from that direction. This is the only one that can come from that direction. And this is the only one, well, at the final one that can come, that's the only one left that comes from that direction. So you have this nice little packet that you can palm. Now, if you're going to do this impromptu someplace, instead of just going into the corner and folding up the bill, fold the bill in advance. You can use a 20 if it's hard times or something, or a 10 or whatever you want to use. But they have these little mini bulldog clips that you can put on it, and you can put it in your pocket. And I'd put it in my pocket, a lot, different days, and I wouldn't perform it every day, but it's ready. If I want to do something, I get it, I take the bulldog clip, and I finger palm it, and I borrow a bill. It's also nice if you can go to your wallet and take a bill out like this and go into it like that, because that makes your hands look empty. Anytime you're handling another object, makes your hands look a lot more empty than if you just start with something in your hand like that. So, so here is, that's not the original bill. The original bill is over here with the other coins. Oh, the other coins are in here. So let's just assume that I start out with it palmed in the finger palm like this, okay? So you place this bill over the top. Now, you don't make a big deal about showing that it's empty or that there's nothing there, because nobody suspects anything yet. So all you have to do is tilt this little package here, and when you tilt it, that coin is the only coin that can slide out, and then it'll slide out about halfway there. So it slides out about halfway when I'm talking like this. I just tilt it as I'm talking about the bill. And the first thing I do is put it on the table so they can see there's nothing there, and I pick it up and just handle it very casually. But I also make a joke about, what's it worth? And what that does is it calls attention to what the value is. So in an old book, Modern Magic, Professor Hoffman says, it doesn't do any good to change an apple into an orange if they didn't know it was an apple in the first place. So it's a good idea to just establish that it's $1. If somebody's maybe in the back or something they can't see, they know what it is. It's $1. So as I'm just sort of talking about what it's worth or whatever, I'm tilting this hand. That coin comes out halfway. And then as I snap the bill, I transfer the whole packet and leave that one behind. So it's just like that. I'm not even doing anything. It's not a move. Don't make a move out of it. And then I put this, to make the folding really fast, I put this finger on top like this. And then I bring my hands together, and it kind of zigzags like that. And when you do that, that's going to bring that coin into the folds. So you rub it and do it. Don't do it too fast. Let it creep out. That's a little more mysterious to see it, the silver, right before it falls out. Now, as I unsnap the bill, I just rub on that exposed coin with the folded, because of the folded corner, and I snap the packet to the other side. So it's just in the action of, you've already produced a coin, so nobody's paying attention. You just unsnap it, and now you hold it this way. Now you put this finger on top and fold it the other way, like that. Now you rub it, and slowly that coin will come out, like this. And then I just place it down on the table for a moment, just to establish that, that it looks like the trick's over and it looks like my hands are empty. And I say, I'm going to go for one more. And now this time I put it right on the end here, cover it up like that, and I start rolling it. The first one's a little less than the diameter of a coin, and then about the diameter of a coin. And then as I fold it again, I'm going to turn this packet. It looks like this. And then I fold this one over the top. So this packet is on top of the coin packet. Now I fold this in half, and you have a nice, neat little packet here with one packet on top of the other like that. And I go like this, maybe one more coin. I keep my finger here to keep those two packets, the separation there so they don't know there's two packets. I do this, and as I come over here, I pick up both of them. And I push that back one forward with my thumb, like that. Just push it forward like that. But it happens in an instant. You just do this, and it's switched like that. So I'll do it once again, like this, and you come up, and with your thumb you push this. So it never apparently leaves their sight. So you have this one finger palmed now, like this, and you squeeze that at the fingertips, and it comes out slowly. Now, you rolled that so slowly, there's no way that there could be a coin inside because you did it so slowly. And so it's creeping out, and when it gets about all the way out, I'm going to have that finger palm coin, and I'm going to just take that coin and say 50 cents, drop it in my pocket, $1, $1.50, and they see my hands empty. Now, I don't pull this out of sight. I don't put it down. I don't do anything. I keep it right up here where it was so it never looks like it goes out of sight. You've got that little corner back there. So when I'm trying to get one more coin, I fold that corner up, back. So it's normal there. And nothing's happening. And I unfold this, and it's kind of nebulous from this side. You can't see the 100. That says 100. But from this side, it looks like pretty much like any bill if you're not expecting it. And so I say, well, why waste the time? And I just put it on my hand like that, and I pretend to turn it over as I put it in that hand. That's a paddle move. I'm putting my thumb underneath, and I'm turning my wrist, and I'm showing the same side like that. So it looks like I'm turning it over as I put it in the other, but I'm not proving anything. I'm just saying, oh, well, that takes too much time. So now I put it well forward on my fingers. So when I close my hand, it's going to turn over, and you're going to see the 100 there. But if I just do this, it's obvious it turned over. So I make it look a little more impressive. I do this, and it looks like, oh, he did something, but I couldn't possibly do anything. It's all exposed, and they see the 100 right away. And you unfold this and show the $100 bill, and your hands are clean. And it's a very, very nice impromptu trick to do. Now, here's another little neat thing you can do if you want to do just the production of one coin. You're not prepared to do the whole thing. A very neat little production, just a simple little thing. You can even do it just for cashiers if you have a $50 or a quarter palmed or something. It's just do the first part. You do when you show the bill with the coin underneath like that, and you kind of snap it like that. And when you snap it, you transfer the coin underneath, so it just looks like you snapped it, and they see both your hands empty. Now you roll that coin up inside like this, and you snap your fingers, and you produce a coin like that. And they say, hey, that's pretty good. And you say, well, here, I'll put it back inside, and you roll it up like that, and then you give it a little tap like that, and when you open it up, it's completely disappeared. So you snap it like that, and it's completely disappeared. See? So what you've done, it's a sleeving action. It's a little difficult because I don't have these as tight as they should be. I don't have a second button there. But what you do is, as you roll this up, the first one's normal. When you do the second roll, it slides out, and you do that again. So it's hidden in finger palm as you roll this. So when you go like this, it looks like it's already gone. And as you snap it, that's the action. You're just basically just doing this. As you snap, you're snapping the bill, and you're doing that. So watch this. I'll do a good one here. I dropped it there. I missed the sleeve there. But as you roll it up, on like the second roll, you let it slide out here like that. Do this. And as you do this, you snap it like that. And you show both sides, and your hands are empty like that. And at your leisure, you can drop your hand and get it in your hand like that. So there you go. As long as we're doing some sleight of hand here, why don't we do a very, very neat thing here. I have 2 coins, right? And besides that, I have these 2 little hooks, sky hooks. I'm going to put one of them there and one of them there. Okay, so 2 little hooks hanging in there. Now, I can hang these coins on the hook, but I have to make the coins invisible for that to work. So I do this. I give it a little squeeze. And when I squeeze like that, I can hang that on the hook. It's right there. It's a little hard to see, but I'll do the same thing with this one here. A little squeeze, and it becomes invisible. I hang it on that hook. So there's one there and one there. If I want, I can take this one off. It's right there. There we go. And it comes back. There's the first one. The second one's right here. Blow on it, and that one comes back as well. Now, typically you wouldn't do this for an audience that's sitting below you. It's usually just a couple people standing around and they're looking down on it. So it's a little bit of a disadvantage to have you people below me. So I have to really cheat and tilt my hand here like that. But this is John Carney. Is one of the most clever magicians I've ever met. You know, we were good friends. And he had a trick he put out years ago called Fickle Nickel. And it couldn't, Doug Henning opened his magic special. Can you imagine opening this big magic special of illusions with a coin trick? And that's what he did. And the camera opened on him, and he had a nickel there, and it looked this clean. He had the nickel there. He closed it that slowly. He turns his hand. He turns it back. And it's completely gone. His fingers are spread. He shows his hand like that. No sleeves when he did it. And then he closes his hand. And it's back, and it was just a miracle. It was unbelievable. It's such a clever principle. It uses a very simple gimmick. I'm not at liberty to discuss what that is, but I thought, wow, I'd love to do that, have that effect, but do it with sleight of hand. So I started working with different things and different places to hide them and everything, and I came up with this thing here. So I'll give you a little demonstration just with there's more to it, the misdirection and everything, but basically what happens is you squeeze it, and it looks like it goes, and then you reach up and take it, like that, and it comes back. And what's happening is you're pushing it between these fingers, like that, pushing it back, and now, of course, you can still see the edge there. When you push it, you can still see the edge. So I'm acting like I'm kneading it, or rubbing the coin or whatever. And what that does is I'm sort of working the fingers back and forth to work it back further. So when I open my fingers, it's hidden. I'm opening them up a little bit so you can see it's between the fingers, but it's way back here. It almost hurts because it's hitting the webbing in the fingers there, But it's way back there. But what that allows you to do is open your fingers separately. You see an opening finger, you see an opening finger, but it's way back here, see? You open that one, you open that one. But it really looks like you see between the fingers as you open the hand. I'm going to do that again. Watch you squeeze it like this, and it goes. All right? But there's another variation on this is to do it. One of the first vanishes I learned when I was a little kid was with a penny or a quarter or something like that. It was called the pinch vanish. And you do this, and you go like that, and you make it disappear. When I was a little kid, that was one of the first things I learned. You pinch it like that when you pretend to take it, and you go like this, and and it disappears, okay? So it's pretty good little simple illusion. And I use that idea here to make it look like it visibly vanishes. Check it out now, watch. You just squeeze, and you see it disappear like that. It just looks like it disappears right in front of your eyes. And that's all you're doing is you're pinching it, and you see those fingers empty up there, and that's when you push it between your fingers and do this, okay? Now, you can back out of the room, or you can have, just say, thank you very much, clink, and then drop it on the floor. So how do you retrieve it? Well, of course, that's the hardest part is how to retrieve it, but it's really not that hard. If you can do a coin roll, you can do this recovery. If you can do a coin roll, you can do it. Now look, as I'm rolling it, watch when it gets right to the center, right there, this little finger reaches up, grabs it, pulls it around, inside the hand. It balances on your thumb, and you start again. That's for the coin roll. You grab it, your finger reaches up, pull it around, your thumb balances it, and you start the coin roll again. Finger like that. So it's the same idea. You're reaching up and grabbing it, but you're stopping there. You're not grabbing it with your thumb. So it's behind my hand. I'm going to do it from the side here. You do this, and then you do that. Now you have to have the proper timing and angle. It's not angle proof. You really have to choose your situation. If it's the wrong situation, don't do it. But if you got a couple of people standing around at a party or a bar or something like that, you find the right. There's usually, if I were to do it, there'd be two people right here, and I'd do it like this, like 2 or 3 people right there. That's fine. As soon as people start gathering over there or behind me, forget about it. It's not, you just don't do it. It's not proper for that situation. So you do that. You're pushing it between with your thumb. You're sort of kneading it back so it's back a little further. You're opening the fingers one at a time. You do this. Drag it in as you turn your hand over. And then as I turn my hand like this thumb, as I'm pretending to knead the coin, like that, the invisible coin, and as I do that, my thumb just levers it into finger palm as I turn my hand over. So you're seeing the palm empty, and then I can turn it back, and now it's in the palm like that. See? Now, there's a problem with this. I don't like a lot of hand washing. You know what I mean by hand washing? Here, the coin's not here, now it's here. It's empty, it's here. It's obviously guessing which hand is it? Which hand's it in? That's a puzzle. That's not really a magic trick. And typically, if you do something like this, what is my excuse for holding my hand in the air? I'm holding my hand there, and the only reason to turn it over is to prove that there's nothing there, right? So it gives me a little bit more license if I say I'm making it invisible, because now I'm holding on to an invisible coin. See, so I'm showing you the invisible coin as I turn my hand. So I say, here, look, check out the invisible coin. Yeah, and then you do this, and it comes back. But still, there's a lot of heat on that hand. And most people, if they're not a magician, and they say, "Oh, I'll make a coin disappear," they'll go, "Ha! I made the coin disappear." I mean, people think, they think that's how every coin trick's done, and that's how this one's done. So you don't want them to suss that out right away. So instead, I throw a red herring in there first. That's why I use 2 coins. Okay, so I have 2 coins. The first coin, you see how it's the middle of the coin is right on that line, right there. So when I come over with my thumb, I can press, and I can push that between those fingers like that. That's why it's right in the center of that line between these 2 fingers. When I press with my thumb, I can do that and press it between the fingers. So I have 2 coins. And I really have to cheat because you guys here sitting are below me. You're looking right below here. But normally if people are above me and I'm at a party or something like that, they're looking down on it. And that's the ideal situation for it. So I have the 2 coins, and I do the little sky hook thing, which is a John Ramsey presentation idea, just to get them looking up here instead of down here. And then I say I can make these invisible if I put them on the hook. And I continue to look up here. I don't look at the coins when I do this, but when I come over here, I press with my thumb. It goes between the fingers, like I said. Like that, you press it down, and then you drag this coin over the top to cover that edge. And I got this idea from, it's in The Art of Close-Up Magic by Louis Ganson. It's a great book. It has a lot of great close-up magic in it. But Di Vernon had a color change. He did a purse palm with a copper coin, and he'd come over here to cover up the silver coin. And when he did that, he'd push that coin between his fingers, and he'd come away, and there'd be nothing in his hand, and this one would be. So it changed from copper to silver. So that's where I got the idea for that concealment there. And so I'm calling attention to this, but I'm not looking at my hands when I do this. I'm going, there's the hooks. If I make these invisible, I push it between the fingers and drag that coin over the top. As you can see, it covers up covers up the edge there. And I come up here and I do the same motions I'm going to do and pretend to show an invisible coin and hang it there and have my coin kind of hover, my hand kind of hovering in the air here. So people are maybe just a little bit suspicious. You don't make it really obvious, but you make them a little suspicious. Oh, maybe it's behind his hand. And you go, no, it's right there hanging in the air. And they go, oh, I guess I was wrong. He doesn't keep it behind his hand. And then you keep it behind your hand. All right? So this is a great John Ramsey principle, getting them to not really very obvious, but just sort of suspect something. Your hand's like that or something, and then you show that it's empty, and then you could steal something right after that in that hand. And they go, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. And they dismiss that theory and go on to other theories, okay?
Hey, John, if I can interrupt you for just a second, I'm going to jump out here and move this microphone up a little bit.
Okay.
I think we need to get a little bit better sound from you.
Okay.
Let's see if that's good.
How's my diction?
Your diction's fantastic.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, what was it that you said? You used a great word. I'd have to go back and figure out what it was.
Yeah,
but,
I have a couple of them.
Something that I think was, it's a nice $5
good.
word.
Make a note.
I'll make a note of it.
Yeah, I'll put that in a separate manuscript.
All right.
Okay, so we have the 2 coins here, and I call attention up here. Push with my thumb to push it between the fingers. Drag this over the top to cover up the edge. Do this whole miming thing and hanging in the air, and you say, it's right there. It's right there. Yeah, it's hanging right there. And when I just toss this coin, that's going to expose that edge, but everybody's looking at that one, and I just drag this one into my hand. I just press on it, and I bring it back into my hand, just like that. It's there, and I just kind of bring it back into my hand as I'm showing this one. Now you can do the visible vanish like that. But, you want to hold on to it like something's there. And then you hang it in the air, and then you point to it. You say, it's right there. You can't see it. It's right there. Now watch this angle. Watch this angle. See how I'm turning my fingers in? I'm not doing this. I'm sort of closing my hand as I bring it around like that, and I point. Okay? It's hard to do slow. But there it is. Boom. And I hang it there. Okay, so it's right there, and I'm going to take it off. Okay, now when I turn my hand, see it's there. When I turn my hand, I'm going to press it into finger palm. As I say, if I rub it like this, the thumb comes in and presses it into finger palm as I do this. So now it's in finger palm, and you're doing this, and you go back and forth, and then eventually it ends up on the palm, like that, or you can produce it like that at the fingertips, and then and then you pretend to drop it in the other hand. I just do a very simple vanish. This is a vanish I use anytime I vanish a coin, or 90% of the time when I vanish a coin for a routine. I do a very simple vanish. It's essentially balanced there, and this finger comes up and kind of nips the edge there, just enough to flip it over heads to tails. Heads to tails. And it makes it look like it's dropping. And then I show the coin that's already there. So I've just produced this coin, and I look up, which is a misdirection principle I use all the time, looking up Ramsey. We can talk about this maybe a little bit later. But you look at them, and you pretend to drop it, and you show the one here, and then you come back up and take the other one off. And because of that Ramsey, that's a Ramsey subtlety. When you have a coin in finger palm, it looks like your hand's empty. But you can't just do this and produce the coin. You have to either be holding something or pretending, in this case, pretending to hold something, so you have a reason to hold your hand like that. Otherwise, it's an obvious thing. But if you do this, and you've just shown your hand empty because you dropped the coin. So then you do the other one, like that, and then that one comes back, and there you are. Easy as pie. Easy as pie. Yeah. Well, let me interject here. A lot of times people are learning magic. Everybody's at a different level. And believe me, I've had this experience as much as anybody else. And you have to believe that, because if you want to learn things that are a little difficult or a little above your present level of skill every few months or years or whatever, you have to kind of challenge yourself a little bit. And usually what happens is you're reading a book, and you're going, let's see, the second flange of the third thing. I'm no good at sleight of hand. I'll just kind of get a gimmick or something. It's like because they give up too soon. They expect results right away, and you can't. It's a skill. It's something that you acquire. It's a skill that you acquire. If everyone picks up the guitar, they go into lessons and they want to shred like that. They want to right away. They want to do that. They don't want to learn scales or learn chords or anything. They just want to. I want to be awesome like that. They don't want to practice. You gotta practice. That's what separates the hacks from the good guys. Is because they care. They care. That's the underlying principle of anything you want to be good at. You have to care about the result. You have to have an ideal. A lot of people don't have an ideal. They've been in magic 50 years. They have no ideal. This is fun. I'll do this one. Okay, now I'll do this one. Now I'll do this one. And they don't care about it getting better. Well, one of the ways that you improve is you look for problems. You look for things to improve. And when I say improve, I don't mean just my variation. I do it with a red deck, or I'm doing something, not making it more complicated, simplifying things and refining them, and looking for what the problem is. What would the spectator think if they saw this? What's the problem with this trick? Well, you don't have a really good presentation. You don't have anything to say to sort of misdirect them, or anything that's really engaging to say when you're doing this thing. So maybe you needed a presentation for it, or maybe you're flashing. Why am I flashing? Well, figure it out. It's a problem. It can be solved. Why am I dropping the coin? Why? I keep dropping it. Why is it dropping? Oh, what if I move the finger here? What if I move the finger here? What if I move the thumb here? What if I moved it higher, lower, held it tighter, looser? What if I did this? What if, just try different things. And eventually something will happen and you go, oh, I did it. And then you can't do it again. You go, why can't I do it again? I just did it. And you try it, and then you do it again and again and again. And it's like a bicycle. After a while, you can't even explain to people how you do it. You get on the bicycle and you ride. Well, not you, because you have a feeling, you have a sensitivity for it. You've kind of lived with it. And a perfect example is people say Jimi Hendrix is a genius on the guitar. Absolutely. Absolutely. But he didn't wake up one day and go like that. Jimi Hendrix carried around a guitar all day long. Now, you don't have to do that. I mean, a lot of us are hobbyists, and we don't have to commit that much. But he loved it so much, he wore that strap of that guitar around him all day long. Walking down the street, he'd fall asleep with it on his chest, and he'd wake up and he'd play the thing. And people say he brushed his teeth. He'd have that guitar around there, and he'd put the brush down, and he'd walk in the living room and try something, and you try and fail. The people that are really good at something have made many more mistakes and many more fumbles than the average guy, because they're trying and adjusting. You try something and you adjust. You don't get it right on the first try. If you do, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And that's not a skill. That's not something that you achieve. That's just something you purchase, or I learned a secret out of the book, or I bought this prop, or I did this or that. Well, think it through. Really say, I really want it to look good, and I'm going to stick to it until it matches my vision, matches my ideal. So there's just a little preaching there about practice, just putting a little bit more time, having a little bit of faith in yourself, that if you put the hours in, you're going to get something out of it. Now, I don't know.
I'm not sure what keeps happening, but the microphone keeps rubbing on the fabric, I think, but I don't see it.
All right. How about over the button there?
This is as good a time as any to fix it.
Is that better there?
You know what? What I want to do is, let's see if we can still pick it up. Just pull a little bit more of that over there, and we'll put it over here and point it kind of toward your mouth there.
All right.
Toward your speaking
All
mouth.
right, we'll see.
And we'll see if will that get in the way at all?
Yes, it will.
It will. Yeah, I can
in
see
2 moments. So let's put it right on the button, and maybe that'll help.
Maybe that'll work.
Maybe that'll help. Okay.
All right, good.
Well, maybe the coat's rubbing against it or something, but I'll adjust it again.
They'll let me know if there's
give me a little nod, and I'll change it if it's still going like that. But you didn't bring a deck of... here, I'll use these. These are invisible cards. They work almost as well as the other kind. These would be... thanks for noticing. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. Let's see. Sir, I'd like you to take the cards, shuffle them up as much as you like. That's good. Now, I'm just kidding. Well, you could, But it wouldn't matter. I'm so good at this. I'm so good. It wouldn't matter how much you shuffle or cut the cards. I know the location of each and every card, even when you shuffle the cards. For instance, I knew that king was there. I knew that. I knew that the 6 was there. I knew that the other 6 was below it. Well, every card except for the jokers. Those are difficult. The jokers are difficult. But the other ones are easy. The 7s are easy. The 4s are easy. The joker. I always said the jokers are tough. But anyway, the point is, when you know the positions of all the cards, the aces are very easy to find. That's my point. For instance, the top card, the ace of clubs, is what... Oh, it's a joker. Sorry. I always have trouble with the jokers. The ace of hearts is about halfway. That's another joker there. Let's see. Looks like jokers are popping up everywhere. Wait a minute. What the heck? What if I rub these on the table, and then you get all 4 aces? Just so, oh my God! There we go. That's all 4 aces. I'll do this again here. I'm sorry. I got this mixed up. I forgot something here. So go through, find the joker, and they say, oh, well, look, there's the joker. I'm going to put the joker back. And then there's an ace on the top here. I'll put that down. About halfway down, here's the other joker, and then there's one. Oh, there's one on the bottom. That's what I forgot to do. And then they're popping up. Wait a minute. One thing I have to do. You wave it over the top of the other ones, and they all change into aces. That's better, isn't it? Yeah, that's better. I just forgot to do that one thing there. This is a great two ways to open up a routine that are really, really nice. First, the deck production. I'll show you the setup. It's very simple. You put a joker face up about 3/4 of the way down. You put 3 on top and 1 on bottom. I think I messed up the setup before I start the show here. But then you put those in the card case, and you put this in your inside breast pocket, just like that. That's why I couldn't move them my phone, because I had to get to that right away.
Just to interject, I was surprised with the opening effect that I could shake your hand. You weren't holding out yet.
Oh, for the...
I shook your hand, and then, you
the
went
coins?
right into... Yeah.
Yeah, so I just had the bill at my side. Now, normally I don't have to do that because I don't have to shake hands with somebody right before I do it. But I just had it behind the bill, and then I came over here as I showed change hands with the bill, and I finger palmed the little packet or something. It's kind of awkward to do that because I had to shake hands before I did that. Usually you just come out, you're in a bar or something, you can pick it up and do it anytime you want. But you have the cards inside here in your pocket, and you do some body language here. I hope I don't hit the microphone with the body language here. But this is international language. Where did I put my keys? Where the heck did I, people do this all the time when they're looking for something. So I look at somebody in the front row and do this and reach in my pocket. Now what that does is it establishes it before. I don't go right for it. Establishes that motion of going from pocket to pocket. And I say, do you have a... So when I go here, nobody's paying attention, especially since I'm talking to somebody and I say, did you bring a deck of cards? And what I do is I just take it out and I turn it and I feed it into the hand that's holding the jacket like this. So it's right at the edge of the jacket there. And it only takes a second. It's like, say, did you have a deck of cards I could... Oh, wait a minute, I'll use these. And so you have it right here, okay? I'm going to do a smoother one here. So it's out of context. But do you have a deck of... I'll use these. So now you have it right here, right? And I pretend to grab something and look at it. Now, this is a John Ramsey principle. If you want somebody to look at something, look at it yourself. And if you want somebody to look at you, look at them. See? So there's a lot more to it, but that's basically the idea, is right before it, you have to focus attention before you can misdirect attention. I don't know where you're looking. You're looking all over the place. Oh, nice studio. And, oh, this used to be a barn. Oh, no, that's fascinating. And then just when you decide to look at me is when I do the move. So I don't know where you're looking. So I make you look at something, I compel you to look at something by, something's happening. I should pay attention. It looks like something's going to happen. If I have a coin, maybe I tap it on the table and look at that coin, and then right before I do the vanish, I'll look up at you right before I do the vanish. See, but I tap it and look at it first and say 1934, yeah, and I do a fake vanish, a fake transfer, something like that. But that's a very, very strong principle of misdirection. I'm really breaking it down into a few seconds. But I talk about this in my books and DVD on John Ramsey. But that's the basic idea behind that. So this is in my pocket, and I say, do you have a deck of cards? And I'll use these. And I look at it, and then as I bring my hands together, I look at them. I look them right in the eye, and I say, oh, that's all right, I'll use these. And as I do that, I pull this out, and my thumb just sort of levers it into view, like this. So it's like this. I look at them as I bring my hands together. I do that. And I don't make a big deal about it. I don't go, ha! Cards appear. Notice I don't do that. I really soft sell it. I don't go, ha! There's the cards. I go, I'll use these. That's okay. I'll just use it. And I'm opening them up and taking people, what? You know? So I would rather they did that than I'm going, hup, and producing the cards, which looks more like it's coming from my coat if you do that. But if you do this and you look them in the eye and you go, that's okay, I'll just use these. These will be fine, yeah. So if you've ever done tricks at a party or a restaurant or something like that, and you walk over and say, would you like to see a trick? And you take out your cards, they go, oh my God, is this going to be good? Is that like Uncle Harry at the barbecue with the boring tricks and the thing? Oh my God. So they don't know what they're getting. But if you walk over and say, I'm going to use these cards, and you do this and you start to take them out, like right away they go, whoa, this is going to be good. So now that you've got them, and you can do a more complex routine or a more involved routine. So do this, look up, push with your thumb to bring that into view, and then I just open the case and take the cards out very casually. I like to do this all the time, and toss it aside. That's one of my pet peeves, by the way. If you're doing a card trick, get that off the table. Does it have anything to do with the trick? Get rid of it, all right? So because it's distracting. This is your stage, and anything that doesn't belong there detracts from what you're trying to present. So you want them focused on the magic. You don't want them focused on different things. And so I have 3 aces on the top and 1 on the bottom, and that joker is reversed about 3/4 of the way from the top there. So I start to hand the cards out, and I say, shuffle them. It's an old gag, but I say, start to shuffle. I go, that's enough. And I go, well, you could shuffle them, but it wouldn't matter because I'm such an expert at this, I can find any card I want. And as I'm talking, I'm not even looking at them. As I cut the cards, hold a break, and then just cut them back to the top, and maybe I cut them again, and then cut these to the table. You're just cutting at the break each time. But one of the most convincing parts about any kind of a false shuffle or a false cut is the fact that you're not looking at them. If you're doing something like this, and you're studying the cards, and you're looking at the cards when you're shuffling them and everything, that's not a shuffle. Because the guys hey, let's play some cards. The guys that say, hey, Harry, how about let's do this? Come on, give me another beer. What's the thing? That's the guy that you want to play cards with. You don't want to play the guy with the pinky rings and the polished nails and the and the wax mustache. And you want a guy that looks like you and he handles cards. I don't do a lot of flourishes because when I was younger, I was influenced greatly by Di Vernon, and one of his heroes was Nate Leipzig. And Nate Leipzig used to say that you should handle the cards in this style anyway, that you should handle the cards as if you're familiar with them. You play cards on the weekend, you're comfortable with them, you can shuffle the cards, you don't drop them, whatever, but he would never even fan a deck of cards. I mean, maybe that's a little extreme. A couple times I'll fan a cards, but usually if I have someone pick a card, I'll just spread them, but I don't do any fancy stuff. So all I'm doing is just cutting them as I'm talking and cutting to the break and back and forth. So you still have the same setup with 3 and 1 on the bottom and the joker toward the bottom there. So I say, I know the positions of all the cards. I knew that 10 was there. and just spread some more and say, I knew that 5 was it. You're just calling whatever card, and that one was below it. Well, every card except for the Joker. Those are tough. Those are very difficult. But the 7s are easy, the 9s are easy, and eventually you're going to pass that Joker, and you pretend like you don't see it at first, and you go, wait a minute, what's that? And as you square them up here, you're going to get a break and do the tilt move or the depth illusion, developed independently by Di Vernon and Ed Marlowe. But the basic idea behind the tilt, if you don't know, is the top card is tilted like this. Now, this is way, 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 way exaggerated, just so you can see what it is. See, it's tilted at an angle like that toward the front. So if I were to put a card in the back, it looks like it's going in the middle. But that's way exaggerated. You really don't need very much. You have to keep that level. You don't want just a break on one side. You want to lift it up so it's level. And you only need about that much. You only need about that much. And you don't make a big deal about this. You just push it in like that. Now, I need to get a break below that Joker that I'm pushing in here. But if I just do this, look, that looks bad, doesn't it? There's no reason for that to happen. So as I'm pushing it in, I'm talking, and I'm just doing this, and now I get that. Now that simple little thing of doing that makes all the difference in the world. You say, well, a break is not difficult. Well, anybody can do a break. You just put your finger in there, right? I used to ask people, I'd say, well, what's the most difficult move in magic? And they say, oh, the pass, the diagonal palm shift, all these different moves. And I go, well, I don't think it's the most difficult, but the most abused move in magic is the break. Because people make such a big deal about it. You just have a little finger in there, and people will hold the deck with both hands like it's going to explode on them. You go, okay, remember your card? Okay, you don't forget your card? Okay, you got your card? Well, ho! And you do the pass or something, right? So all the focus is on your hands. Who is going to look away from your hands when you're doing this? Nobody. Because it's obviously something's happened. So if you're holding a break, drop your hand. Relax, talk, do this. Whatever, spread the cards and leave them loose and keep the break. And that is just so much more natural than saying, okay, remember your card, and then do the pass or something like that. So in this case, I was just getting a break for a double lift. So I've just done the tilt, all right? And just as I get toward the end, I kind of tilt it up so I can lift that up and get that break there. And then I do a very simple double lift. Very simple double lift. It looks like this, which doesn't look like a double lift, right? People do this and snap it and riffle up the side and do that, all those kinds of things. But if you go to, Charlie Miller used to say, if you go to the public library and when people are coming out, you hand them each a deck of cards and you say, show me the top card. They're going to go, what? You mean this one? That's what they're going to do. They're going to go, oh, what? Oh, this one? That's what a double lift should look like, if you don't want it to look like a move. So I'm trying to make that look like that's a double lift. See? So, and I'm using Di Vernon's technique from the Di Vernon Book of Magic. You have a break, and you press up with your middle finger here and down with your thumb, and it sort of bends the card like that. So essentially, you're gripping that card. You're not really pushing it off. You're sort of gripping it between that finger and your thumb, and it looks like you're pushing it off, like that. See? And it just goes just enough so you can grab the corner. And most people push the card off before they take it. Magicians are one of the few people that do something like that and get the double lift for the break. But it's such a simple thing, and getting the break. Normally, if I wanted to get a break for a double lift, a lot of people would do this. They just, all of a sudden they talk, and all of a sudden their hand would just come up and go, wow, what was that? That doesn't mean anything. What was that little dipsy doodle there? What does that mean? What is that? So how do you handle this? And this is why Di Vernon was a great magician. He thought about these little details, and then when you watch him, you go, well, that guy is so much better than that guy, but I don't know why. It's the things that you take out a lot of times, simplifying and streamlining things. So if Di Vernon wanted to do a double lift, he would do something like this. If it depends on the trick, but he might say, and for the ambitious card, he might say, your card's going to come to the top. And when he gestures with this card, he pushes that card off and pulls it back, and now he's got a break on 2 cards. But it's such a simple thing to say your card's going to come to the top. And now you have a break on 2 cards. Instead of coming over here and going like that to get the break. And another thing I do all the time, is just when I'm talking like this, I push off the 2. I can feel it. 1, 2. I can feel those edges. Push. 1, 2. And it's just like this. It happens in a second. You just go like this, and you come back, and you got the break. And that makes all the difference in the world that you don't have a get ready. You just come over and grab it, and it doesn't look like a move all of a sudden. Okay? So in this, we'll get back to this trick now. So you've done the tilt. As you square it, you sort of tilt it back so you can get a break on it. And then you say, now the top ace, the ace of clubs, oh, darn, I got the joker instead. It's a double. Now, you could just flip it over on the top and deal that off. That's fine. But Di Vernon has a replacement. I don't know what it's called, but when he turns it, he keeps it close to the pack. So when he turns it over like that, he's going to spread the cards like that. Just a pivot down here at the bottom. You're holding between these 2 fingers and your thumb, and it pivots like that. Right? Like that. So I've just shown it. I've kept it close to the pack. And as I turn it over, I spread those cards, and that goes square on the pack, and it looks like that card never came on top of the pack there. Look at how it looks now. You do this, and you say, there's the joker. And that goes on the table. It doesn't look like you dumped a card off there. It doesn't look, here you could have dumped a card, but here it just looks like you're holding the card in the air, sort of like this. That's what's implied. So you drop that on the table. Now, you're going to do a pass and a cut, and you're going to make it just look like a cut. Now, when I was a kid, I read something in Hoffman's Modern Magic. It said, with practice, you can make a pass and a cut look like just a cut. And so, as you're talking, you do this, and you apparently just pull that card out of the center. But what you've done is a pass. Okay? So, I've got a break in the center, anywhere in the center. I do a pass, a shift, and then I separate it, and it looks like I cut the card. But if I do it at regular speed, and I misdirect you right before, I look up and I say like this, and I say something, and I do that. Now, the next coming up here is this, which is a great switch, and I learned that from Derek Dingle. It was in one of his things. I think it was called a Royal Flush Routine or something like that. But this doesn't make it, there's a discrepancy in here. You do this, you switch the card, but it shouldn't look right, but it does. What happens is you're tilting this over on top of your thumb. You're doing this, and it's going on top of your thumb, and that's pushed up in the upper half, and you deal this one. You go, well, how could that possibly look good? It's on your thumb, and you do that, and you're dealing that. Nobody would be fooled by that, but look at it. You do this, and it just passes. It looks like you're doing nothing. And it's under misdirection, because I'm not looking at it. I'm not doing this and doing it. I'm doing this, and I'm going, oh, darn, and I look up. Oh, darn, I lost that card. Oh, I didn't get that one. And this is what I forgot to do before. I put this on top. And now that leaves the joker on the bottom. All right? Now, you're going to do a glide. Now, the standard way to do a glide is to pull the card back like that. That's the standard way in all the old books and everything. And I think Di Vernon was one of the first ones I saw do it from the side like this. You push the card over there like that, and you take out that card. But that's 2 actions. So if I show the joker and I do well, there's no reason for me to go So if I go that's a little suspicious. So instead, I show it like this, and my fingers are contacting the face of the card, like this fingertip. And as I turn, that's the motion that's going to push it over. So now it's jogged over here like that. But it doesn't look like I do anything. Now I'll try to do it from below here. There and there. So all they see is the out motion. So it looks like this, and it just comes out. So like this, and it just comes out. See? It's what you leave out that makes that look good. So now I drop the cards and I say, looks like jokers are popping up everywhere. And a card pops out of the center, apparently. This is J.K. Hartman, Jerry Hartman's move. He had a lot of clever card stuff in manuscripts. I think there's a collection of his work. It's very great stuff. You do almost like a Kelly bottom placement. Your fingers wrap around the front, here just the fingertips, and you sort of pull on it, and that'll pull it away from the bottom of the pack there. And when you do that, you feed this hand between the deck and the card, and you just lift up anywhere in the middle with your finger here. Just lift up anywhere in the middle and drag that card around into the center. And if you do it right, looks very loose right up to the last second, then you do that, your hand comes in here, you lift up anywhere in the center, and that card pops into the center like that. So you do that, and then you go, hup, and it looks like the card pops out of the center there. Now, to make the last one change, this is a really nice idea. I've seen a guy named Ron Wool, just passed away recently, had an idea like this in, I think it was in Epilogue or some old magazine from the 60s or 70s or something like that. But also Pete Fortin from Switzerland, both of them were from Switzerland, used the idea. I'm not sure exactly where it started, but it was based on one of the first card moves I ever learned, which was the snap change. The snap change, and it still looks good. If you just do the regular snap change, it still looks fantastic. The snap change looks like this. You rub it on your sleeve, and it changes. Such a simple thing, but it's one of the first things I learned when I was a kid, to snap it like that, and it changes. You're holding it by the sides toward the bottom here, and you're just going to snap it until you're just holding it with the finger and thumb like that. So you're holding both sides, and you snap it like that. So here, and the rubbing on the sleeve gives you a little misdirection, so you're coming down, and now it's on top of the deck, and you can deal that one off. So here it is again, rubbing, snapping as you come down, it goes on top of the deck, and you can deal it off. But Ron Wool and Pete Fortin use this idea where you use that to turn over the cards on the table, and it makes it look like all the cards are changing at once. It really, because you're sort of convinced that those are jokers there, and when you do this and you do that, I did it. That was a bad one. But when you do this and you snap these over, it looks like they all change at the same time. And that last ace that I snapped over and did that, I temporarily put it here as I push these aside, and then I deal it off there, and that ditches the joker on top of the pack there. Okay? Anybody have any questions on that, or?
We've got questions about the pass.
Yes, sure.
Since you're using the pass
Sure.
there, if you wouldn't mind taking a little side
don't mind
trip
at all.
into explaining, what you think about the pass and how people might get better at it.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. When I was younger, that was the move that I wanted to learn. I saw it in a lot of books, but I didn't understand it. How could you make cutting the deck look invisible? How could you do that? And I'd see the fingers, and I couldn't get my head around it. It was one of the first things I read, and I wasn't in magic very much, so I didn't really have that much experience. And I go, there's no way that's practical. There's no way everybody would see that. No way. And then I was in a magic club in the Midwest, and a guy did it for me, and he didn't even do it that well. But it was the first time I go, oh, now I can see. Oh, my God, I can see how you could do that fast and how you could do that invisibly. So I worked on that pass over and over and over, and I was like a gunslinger. You go to the magic convention, all right, show me your pass, partner. How fast can you draw, or something like that. And so I had it to what I believed was exhibition level. So when you're ready to show the magicians, you go, okay, check it out, ready? Boom, like that. And I did pretty well, but something happened. See, I'm framing up. That's what the gamblers say. You frame up. So you're putting all the focus on your hands and the cards, even if they don't see anything. Something happened. Why did you do that all of a sudden? You're not just talking and moving around. All of a sudden you go like that. Your whole body tenses up and you frame up. That's what they say. They frame up. So we're going to deal with that, and we're also going to deal with how do you cover the angles? Because there's two things. I'm not sure exactly this is Erdnase. It's kind of a hybrid of a lot of different methods of doing the pass, but the principles apply to all of them. So let's just talk about general principles, and where the fingers go. You'll have to investigate that a little bit more, but how to use it, that's what I want to talk about. So normally if you do this, they're going to see these cards sort of move away here as they come off, and then they're going to see the cards below like that. So they're going to see the top ones, and then they're going to see it below. And it doesn't matter how fast you do it, they're going to see that move, and they're going to see that move. So I tried to get, there was I think it was Neil Elias had a thing called the jiggle pass in Paul Bear's Review or Epilogue or something like that, where he was kind of refining it, and he had a jiggling motion to it. I thought that was a little broad, but the idea was really good because he came up to cover this flash, the cards going off to the side like this, that. He came up to cover that part, and he came down to cover that part. But obviously you don't want to go like this and like this. That's too big and broad. And originally that's what I was doing, big and broad like this. You remember your card and whatever, like that. And it was like too much handling of the cards. So eventually I got it down to this, just with the fingers sort of rocking it in the fingers. So up and down, up and down. It's almost like you're turning a doorknob. Up and down, like that. Like that. So if I have a card here, when you go up and down, like that was a little too big, but I'm just trying to show you the idea. Up and up, so up and down, up and down, like that. But if you get it down to that really small motion here, you can get it just so it just looks like you just sort of, just in the action of squaring the pack, like that, you get it. So that's a little bit better. Now, as well as I thought I did it, I probably don't do it as well today as I did when I was younger. And here's the principal reason, because now I put a lot more effort into doing that in context. Because I don't want people looking at my hands, and I can be very careful about, is that finger there, is that finger there, is that finger there, is the right angle right? But now I'm focusing too much on my hands. So to get the focus off of your hands, you have to do it in context. Don't just practice the bottom deal in a pile. Practice dealing them like you do in a game and talking and not looking at your hands when you do it, and not framing up and not tensing up. So instead, how would you have a card selected? Would you mind coming forward? Just so I don't have to leave the camera view here. But if you stand right here, just so the people over here can see. And thank you for coming up. Hi. So if you pick a card like that, you take the card, right? Okay. Now if I say put the card back, where are you going to look? Where's my card going? Where's my card going? Where's my card going? Bam. It doesn't matter how good I do it. Something happened there. I don't know what it was, but something happened, right? So I have to break up that motion, and sometimes there's other people involved. You pick a card, you pick a card. I'm using my body language. I'm moving. That's why it's so much stronger for misdirection and for magic technique to be standing. You have so much more power, and you can move and turn and say things to people. But on the table, your hands are right there. You can't really do very much, and the angles are bad, and you can't use your body. But here I can say this, and that's a perfectly natural thing for me to say this and say this. But you can't do that when the card's on the table. So where are you looking when you put that card back? Where's my card going? Where's my card going? Where's my card going? And if I do this, and stop, everybody goes, oh, I guess nothing happened. That's when you do it. Oh, nothing happened. That's when you do it. Okay? So you're putting the card back. All the focus is where you're putting the card. Boom. Do something like that. It's so simple. When you say a break, it doesn't have to be a big honking break like that with a big little finger all the way up there, ready for the pass. Just hold a break temporarily with the fingertip, just the tip of it, just a fingertip break. So you put it back and you do that, and you can even spread the cards and keep them loose. Now, that provides you a reason to square the cards. If the cards are already square, why are you squaring a square pack, right? There's no reason. So to motivate that, maybe you dribble the cards, keeping the break, and maybe spread them, say it's lost in the pack. Now instead of holding my hand like this, I drop my hand and just talk and just relax. See, my whole body says nothing's going to happen. And I say, you could have picked a card, and you could have picked it, you could have put it any place you wanted to. And now when I come back, I have a reason to square the cards, and that's when I do the pass. All right? So thank you very much. Thank you. But you see, you're doing it in context. You're doing it in context. You're putting it back like that, and then you relax, and you talk, and you talk, and you say, now, the guy could have picked any card. I didn't know what card he's going to pick, but blah, 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 and that's how it happens. Now, it's sort of out of context showing to you now because I'd be pattering, and I'd have something to say, and maybe a joke or something is a good way to cover it. But that's the idea, is instead of putting it back and framing up and getting all tight and doing the pass, it doesn't matter how invisible it is, something happened. But if you can put it back, hold a break, relax, do this, just hold a little finger break, and right as you do the pass, that's when you put your finger in deeper, and you just do that little rocking motion, up and back, up and down like that, and that's the motion for the pass. Now that's it in a nutshell, but really makes a big difference. And you can still use that Ramsey idea. If you want somebody to look at something, look at it yourself. Lost in the pack. If you want somebody to look at you, look at them. You look up just a fraction of a moment before you do the pass. Okay? And any pass, it doesn't matter how invisible you think it is, it's twice as invisible if they're not looking at your hands. So misdirection, I always use misdirection even for the simplest moves, the simplest routines. It's just so much better. Okay?
Yeah,
I think that covered it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, now magicians are always saying, "Oh, I don't use my sleeves. I don't use my sleeves." I use them all the time. I got birds and bowling balls and okay, it's like an Electrolux thing. It sucks things up there. I'll show you what I mean. Look, if I just give it a little click like that, a card flies up the sleeve and lands right there. See? Leaves me with just these three. And watch this one. You'll see this one go up my sleeve. 3 left. I'll take this one and toss it up. That leaves me with just 2. See? Just the 2. And this one went all the way up here. Right? You give it a little click, and that one goes. Leaves me with just 1. And now the last one, I can do this with it. You see it shoots up the sleeve, across the chest, and out the sleeve. Now, I've worked on a lot of different routines for cards up the sleeve. Some of them use packets of cards. One of the best is Chuck Smith. Chuck Smith is a brilliant magician from Texas, older fella, but he came up with so many. He's not super well known in magic circles. He doesn't go to a lot of magic conventions, has some printed books. He has 3 sets of lecture notes that are absolutely fantastic. They don't have illustrations, so a lot of people are apt to pass over them because it's kind of simply printed and there's no illustrations. It's like, whatever. But if you go through there, there's these gems in there. He's such a brilliant guy, and he's very clever. He has great presentations for things, and he has a really great version of that. Erdnase has one with the entire deck of cards. You have a card selected, and one by one, the cards start flying up the sleeve and going up here, and then more go up the sleeve until you're down to 1 card, and that 1 card is the card that they selected, which is a great routine. Vernon has a cards up the sleeve in the Stars of Magic, as well as Dr. Jacob Daly. And so there's lots of things in print there. But one of the motivating things behind palming cards, one of the motivating factors to make it look good is, well, motivation. Why are you bringing your hands together? And it's the same thing with the pass. People don't think about this. They go, why do the hands come together? Like if I'm going to do a color change, and I say, okay, 9 of spades. What was that part right before? Why all of a sudden did I bring my hand over and do this, and then that? Why didn't I just come over and do that? Why didn't I just do that? I did this, right? Or I did this. and that, right? So why are my hands coming together at all? There has to be a reason. If you're doing the pass, maybe the cards are disheveled, and you're going to square the cards. That gives you a reason to bring your hands together to do the pass. For the palming, it could be something as simple as say, a lot of people, they think I use my sleeve. So I'm going to roll up my sleeve. I'm going to do this without a sleeve. Okay, watch the 7. I just do this, and it changes like that. So now you're motivated. The hands come together for a reason to pull my sleeve up, and nobody's looking at your hands. When you do a side steal, you push that card into your palm as you take these cards aside. And now the trick hasn't even started yet, and you already have the card. It's a beautiful position to be in. You say, now a lot of people think I use my sleeves. I'm going to roll up my sleeve. I'm just going to do it with it. Well, we'll use the queen. Okay, watch the queen. And when you do this, that's the only part they perceive because you've broken it up. You don't, a lot of times people, magicians, blend the routines in with the effect. They don't know where the moves end and the routine begins. They just blend it all together. Now it's here, now it's there. Now this is gone, now it's back. Now I do this, now I do this. And instead of doing the move and then talking and using some presentation or something like that, they just one move blends into the next move, and it's all a routine of moves. And you don't want that. You want to just keep things separate and simple. So why am I bringing my hands together to palm these cards? So this was an exercise in how to motivate bringing my hands together. So I'm going to start out with clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, okay? And I put 2 in each hand for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't want them to memorize the order, so this kind of confuses them. They don't know when I put them together what the order is. But it also gives me a reason to square the cards when I bring them together, and I palm those top 2 cards, okay? So this is the this is Erdnase method for palming, where the little finger sort of jogs these out like that, and it goes up into the palm like that. So you can use any palm, but I'm using the Erdnase palm. Now watch, when you do this, that looks fine to do that. That's fine. But when you palm cards, those cards are going to go out of sight for a second because you're palming them, right? They're going out of sight. How could you solve that? How could you solve that? This is the kind of thing that Di Vernon would sit down and think about for hours or days or weeks or months, and they go, oh, I finally got the idea. It's such a simple idea. And then you show it to somebody, and you go, hey, look what I came up with. And they'll go, yeah, of course, how else? See, but the simple way is usually the most difficult way to come up with, to streamline something so it's simple. So how do you cover up that? So he thought, well, what if I turn the cards sideways? And then the action of turning them, you palm them, see? So it's going out of sight, but you're palming them as you're turning these cards. It's hard to do slow and explain it at the same time. But the idea is, in the action of turning them, I'm going to palm those 2 cards like that, and now I'm holding these from above. And also, it makes your hand look a little bit better like this than it does like this. This looks like you're palming cards, and this looks like it's more relaxed here, holding them from the sides. So I'm doing this, and I say, a lot of people think I use my sleeves, bowling balls, birds, things like an Electrolux, and I make a joke, Electrolux, and as I look up, that's when I do it. I make a little joke, and I turn these sideways, and now I've got those 2 cards. So I give a little click, oop, like that, and the cards, I take these 2, and I jam these at my shoulder, and I remove the top one, like that, and I say, there it is. And I say, that leaves me with these 3 cards. But there's actually just 2 cards. Now, it's not a count. It's just a real casual kind of thing you say on the offhand. You say 3 cards. That's why you put red, black, because when you do this, you pull out the bottom red one, put it on top. You pull out the bottom one and put that on top, and then you show the bottom card. So if you don't call attention to what the first card is, it goes by them, they just see red. They don't see the suit because it's already gone. You just say, and that leaves me, I'm not looking at them. I'm not saying, look, I have 3 cards left. I guess you could do that, but it's much stronger to say, look, I have 3 cards remaining, and you're just pulling one off, put it on top, pull one off, put it on top, show the bottom card. But it's such a casual thing They see red, black, red in that rhythm, and I'm not even looking at it. They see it out of the corner of their eye, and that makes it look like you have 3 cards. Okay, so now if I have 3 cards and I take away 1, there should be 2 cards here, but there's only 1. So if I take away 1, there should be 2 cards here. So I do a basic back palm, palming the card like that. Apparently I've thrown it up my sleeve. But as I bring my hands together, I bring that back around behind that card, and then I spread these. So it looks like there's 2 cards here. As I bring these together, now there's still 2 cards, and there's no other card there. It must have gone. So I bring these together, and look how I'm holding it here. I get it into position. This is for the Professor Lowy palm, or the Hugard palm. This is an expert card technique in a few other places. Card College, those sort of books on all these techniques. That's the Hugard or Browy palm. You do that, and it's ready to be palmed when you pull this one aside. So you're just pulling it down with your thumb as you remove this card. Okay? So, but you don't do it yet. You make that one go up your sleeve. Show there's only 2 cards. Get them in position. Drop your hand. And when you pull this one out, you palm it now. And everyone's looking up here. You're palming it down here. So now when you bring your hands together, there's no motion. There's no funny finger motion. You're not going like palming the card like that as you put it in the hand. The dirty work's all done when everyone's looking at this card. The dirty work's done. And now when you come up here, look how soft that is. Nothing happened. You give a little click, and this one goes. And now you're going to pretend to put that one in your hand, but really you're going to palm it over here. And this is basically a flat palm, a gambler's flat palm. You lever it into your hand like that, and you press it on the side so it's gripped with the little finger at the base of the little finger and the thumb like that, and you kind of bow it out like that. So it goes from here to here. That's a flat palm. And the neat thing about the flat palm is you can bend the fingers. With a classic sort of a palm, you're kind of stuck there holding your hand like this, and it's not as natural. But if you can do that flat palm, you can bend your fingers, and you can use your fingers to adjust your tie or whatever. You don't overuse it, but you can do this or this. When I first met Fawcett Ross, I'd never seen anybody do a bottom palm. And he did a bottom palm, and he had me shuffle the cards, and he put his hands on his hip like that. And I didn't suspect a thing. He totally blew me away. He did a trick with the bottom palm. He totally blew me away. And it's principally because he had something to do with his hands. Now, you can't keep your hand here forever, but you don't want to keep your hand, whenever you're palming, you don't want to keep your hand anywhere for very long, because you never do keep your hands anywhere for very long when you're talking. You gesture, and you do this, and like this, adjust your tie, cross your hands, say do this, or this, or what. Do something with your hands. Don't just say, all right, shuffle the cards. Shuffle the cards. Can I have the cards back? Okay, put the cards back on the thing like that. Use your hand a little bit, and gesture. Don't overdo it. But, adjust your tie, adjust your thing like this. Oh, thank you. Right, take them back and add it to the pack, whatever you're doing. So this is a flat palm. You can bend the fingers there. So I'm doing that, but I'm adding this little wrist turn. Same thing. Like that. Just turning the wrist and then flat palming. But I come over here to put it in that hand. I actually put it in the hand, and then I pretend to put it in the hand. And what really helps that illusion is if you come past the hand. See how it's coming past? You see that corner. It really burns it and makes it look like you put something in that hand there, right? But I don't show it gone right away. I'm going to grab a little portion of my sleeve like this with my fingertips. And watch. All I do is just pull on it, and it snaps away. And all of this is showmanship, because if I just go like this, you don't really believe anything went on my sleeve. But if I do this and show it's gone, it looks like something went up his sleeve. You go like this and go, oh my God, something went up his sleeve. Right? And then you hold your coat closed like this. Now, I used to have I used to have a gimmick, and I still use this sometimes. It's a wire. It's in one of my books. I forget what. I think it's in the Book of Secrets. It's a wire, and it has a little loop at the bottom, so I can grip it between these fingers. And right before the last card on a cards up the sleeve, this one or any of the cards up the sleeve, I would have it in my pocket, and under some excuse, I would take it out of the pocket, turn it sideways, and stick it under my arm, press it against my body, so the end of the wire came right here. So when it came time for the card to go up the sleeve, I just grabbed that little loop, and I would just do this. And what it did like a pendulum like this, it would make that card go across, and you would see it go across over here, and then I'd stick it under this sleeve or stick it in the sleeve, and then I'd show another card coming out of the sleeve there. But I discovered I get almost the same reaction from doing it, just miming. I say it's going across, and they're imagining it going across my chest. It gets almost the same reaction. Watch this. I'll do this again. I'll put it up. It's going to go up the sleeve, across the chest, and out this sleeve. Okay? There we go. I'll do this again here. Here we go. Not quite there. There we go. Up the sleeve, across the chest, and out this sleeve. Now this sleeve is in the way, so maybe it'll help if I pull this up a little bit here so you can see this a little bit better. There, up the sleeve, across the chest, and out the sleeve. And originally I was trying to sleeve that card. I was trying to sleeve it, and it's very difficult to sleeve a card like a coin because it's flat and it's lightweight and it's wide, and it's hard to get it to shoot very far. It'll stick halfway off the sleeve. So I stopped trying to do that, and instead I use an old clown gag. There's an old clown gag where you go. There we go. So it looks like you're stretching your arm like that, and all you're doing is you're just shrugging your shoulders like this. When you shrug your shoulders, your arm goes up into your sleeve, and then you're just extending your arm is all. So you shrug your shoulders, and then you extend your arm like that. So the sleeve is just being pulled away, and it makes it look like you're stretching your arm. So instead of trying to sleeve it, I just shrug my shoulders and turn my palm toward the audience, and then I just extend my arm, and they see that card apparently coming out of my sleeve. Okay, so I just do this, and I let it fall. But when you do it all together, and they're using their imaginations, and it's going across the sleeve, and then it apparently falls out over here. It doesn't even look like you're gripping it. So. Thank you. Any questions on that? Or, well, got it down already. Wow, that's great.
The Hue Guard palm at all?
What's that?
Do you have tips for the Hue Guard palm at all?
The question is tips on the Hue Guard palm.
The one I just did there? That one?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll start with it. Anytime you're learning something, just make adjustments. Is it up too high or low or deep or over here or there? But I like to have that corner right in the fork of the thumb there. Right in the fork of the thumb. And if you're trying to learn this, start with it in your hand, in the palm, and then lever it up, and that's where the card should be. So if you start in the palm and go backwards, you know where it should be when you start. So then you just put your thumb, not here, you put it up toward the top. So I'm going to expose it here, but when you come to take the packet, you do that, and you take the packet. All right? But in this particular case, I'm holding them down on my side like this. I'm palming it down here, and then when I come up, there's no finger motion. So this is basically, starting in the right position. So, from practicing, I know to put it in that position. And if you put it right, usually in the fork of the thumb, depends on the shape of your hand, the size of your hand, it's usually ready to go right there. You pull that down, and you pull these other cards away with the fingertips like that. You can do that with the whole deck. You can have the card on top here, and then take the deck away like this. So you can do it with the whole deck or a packet or anything. It's a lot of neat ways that you can use it. So does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Let's see, sir, would you come forward? I just want you to take 4 cards out. They can be from different places, but, or together. It really doesn't matter. Whoop, there we go. Is that one of them?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so you got 3, and then you need 1 more. There we go. And you can put them right on the table. Oh, you want to mix them. Why don't you mix them? Very good. All right, you can mix them, and now you can have your seat. Thank you very much for doing that. That's good. Thank you. So he picked 4 cards. I didn't know what cards he was going to pick, and I didn't know what order they're going to be in. None of that stuff. I didn't know anything. And yet, we'll take a look at this card. Let's see. That's a Joker. Joker, and that's a 9, Nine. That's a 6, Six, and that is a 2, Two. And I didn't know what cards you were going to pick, or what section or what order they were going to be in, but just so happens that we got the 4 aces there. Now this was just this was an exercise to learn the bottom deal in the proper way, or a deceptive way to do the bottom deal. And one of the best magicians I ever saw, card magicians, is a guy by the name of Jack McMillan. A lot of young folks have never heard of him. Even some of my age, when I was about 30, something like that, I went to a little convention, the PCAM, the California or the West Coast Magic Convention, and I was hanging out there, and somebody said, I said, "Who's that guy?" Everybody's gathered around that guy. They said, "Well, that's Jack McMillan." I go, "Jack McMillan? Really? Jack McMillan?" Because he was in Greater Magic, the book Greater Magic, as one of the card stars of the USA. They picked what they thought were like the top 10 or 15 guys in the country with cards. And he was one of them. And I'd never seen him at a convention. I never saw a book published. I never saw him do a lecture or anything. So I go, I thought he'd passed away years ago. That book was written in the 40s. He was like a teenager or a 20-year-old in the 40s. And so I got to meet Jack McMillan. And he was just the sweetest, nicest guy. He had great presentations. He had a little twinkle in his eye. When he did presentations, you didn't feel like he was like fooling you and trying to deceive you. You just felt like he was like Grandpa doing his little, telling you a story and a joke, and it was just like fun. It was really fun, no pressure, and he was a very, very skilled card manipulator. But he had such great restraint. He never showed his skill. He used just enough to accomplish the effect, and it all was done in a very natural, soft manner. And I was so impressed with Jack McMillan. And one of the things that I loved the most about Jack McMillan was he did a card. You named a number, you picked a card, and you named a number, and you deal down to that number in the pack, and your card appears at that number. Kind of a standard effect. There's lots of different ways to do it. But one of the standard ways to do it is to either do a second deal, which is a lot of work because you got to do a lot of second deals, or you put it on the bottom. So let's say your card's the 9 of spades, right? So if I said, please name a number, and you say 10, this is the typical way you see a magician do this. You go, 10, right? Okay, watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That last one, well, they're all soft until you get to that one, and then it's like you're pounding on the table. So it not only looks bad at that point, but where is everybody looking? They're not looking at 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. They're looking at that 10 right when you do the bottom deal. That's the wrong time to do the bottom deal, right? But here's the 9 of spades. Here's the way Jack McMillan did it. Beautiful. What number? 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, what was the name of the card that you selected? Oh, 9 of spades. It's the 9 of spades. Soft, so soft. And what it was is it's a perfect example in Erdnase. Erdnase has a phrase that it's a really great quote. I use this all the time because I use the principle all the time. Erdnase says, the resourceful professional failing to improve the method changes the moment. What does that mean? Changes the moment. It's an element of misdirection to change the moment. Change the moment. Change the moment. When are you expecting it? Do it some other time. Do it a different time. Do it on the offbeat. That's what Harry Lorraine used to say, offbeat all the time. Do it on the offbeat. They expect it here, and you look up and you do it just a moment after. Ramsey, same thing. You expect something right here, nothing happens, you relax. When I relax, you relax. Right? That's the offbeat. That's the moment to do it. So the bottom deal that I'm using here is two things. The Erdnase bottom deal, where you're apparently pushing over the top card, or you are pushing over the top card, but you're apparently taking it, and what you're doing is this finger sort of buckles that card a little bit, enough so you can push it off. You kind of have to buckle it to release it from the bottom, and then this hand just kind of comes over and takes that card out, It looks really hard, but when you get it down and you practice it, it's a very simple action. It's a very, very simple action when you eliminate all the extraneous motion. It's a very simple thing to just do this and take that bottom card. But still, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, bam. Doesn't matter how well you do it, it's the wrong time. How do you change the moment? Jack McMillan. All right, here's the 7 of clubs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everyone's looking at 10. 10. Now I relax, they relax, and I say, now what was the name of the card that you selected? And you can turn it over really slow. So you're doing it up here. And Larry Jennings would do this, and instead of just pulling it out and showing it like that, he would pull it out, pull out the bottom card, bottom deal, and then he would turn his wrist with the deck and grab it and look at it himself before he showed it. So everyone's looking at that 10th card. You relax, you look up, you do this, you do this, you take your time, and you lay it down really slow. Very, very, very deceptive. Very, very deceptive. So I thought, wow, what a great idea. So I applied that idea just so I could practice the bottom deal, because I didn't have that many tricks of the bottom deal. So I put 4 aces on the bottom of the pack. Excuse me. He could pick any 4 cards. It doesn't matter which 4 cards. It's a red herring, because while he's shuffling these, I say, just shuffle them up, shuffle them up. And all I'm doing is just taking cards off the top half and shuffling them on the top. I'm not disturbing those bottom cards. Those bottom cards are staying right where they are as I shuffle these cards. I say, shuffle your cards. Shuffle, go, give him a good shuffle. Give him a good shuffle. So when he's done, I lay these out, and I said I didn't know which order they were in. And so, well, let's take a look. Now, where are you going to look? When I turn this over, what's that card? You're going to look right there. Okay? So you're looking right there. I'm getting the bottom deal ready. Already. You're looking right there. Nobody is focused on the deck. And I say T. Now they focus on the deck, and it's too late. Where are they going to look here? I'm getting ready for the bottom deal over here. Where are they going to look? What's that card? They are not focused on the deck until now. What's that card? What's that card? And then at the bottom of each pack, it will be an ace. So that's a very valuable lesson, changing the moment and looking up. That's a Ramsey idea of looking up. An important element of misdirection is tension and relaxation. Tension and relaxation. Now, you might look at the Slidini, some video of Slidini on YouTube or whatever, and you might say, oh, well, that's an old-fashioned style, and it is kind of old-fashioned. It's his style. You say, well, nobody talks like this. Nobody talks like that. But when Slidini was at the diner, he'd say, I want a cup of coffee. I want this or that. He didn't change his spirit. He didn't say, all right, can I have a cup of coffee? Oh, time for the show. All right, and now I look. It was part of his personality to talk like that and move like that. He was a dramatic guy, and that's how he used his misdirection to get, to when things happen. But he never did things. He might tense up and do something and then show you nothing's wrong. And then he'd relax, and you're tense because you're going, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And when he opens his hand and he relaxes, you go, oh, nothing. And that's when he does it. So he get tension and relaxation. Same idea as Ramsey. If you want somebody to look at something, look at it yourself. If you want somebody to look at you, look at them. And he can lap it, he can switch it or palm it or whatever. But just that relaxing. Just that idea of tension and relaxing. Right? And it's the same way with this bottom deal and this whole principle of that. Here's a very, very valuable thing to know. Anybody do ace assemblies and that sort of thing? Everybody do something like that. Here's the 4 aces. I'm going to do a little something with the 4 aces. Let's say we're going to put them about halfway down in the pack here. Watch. The aces go about halfway down in the pack. I do this. The first one comes up. There's the second one, third one, and there's the fourth one comes up to the top there. So what that is just it's a multi-purpose thing. You can switch 4 cards for 4 other cards. You can add on cards. Because if you're doing like an ace routine, the standard way to do this, I think it's maybe J.K. Hartman's idea called secret subtraction or an addition, here where he'll get a break on these 3 cards below that, and then he'll tip these over. He'll tip that over. These cards are underneath, hidden. 1, 2, 3, and then he drops the whole block, and then these cards are, of course, switched, right? But that you have to admit that is, I mean, it's a great idea, and it really advanced card magic. Nobody was doing anything like that, but at the time, but it is kind of an odd way to handle cards. It is a little bit of an unusual way. Most people aren't used to seeing anybody handle cards like that. Maybe I think a more natural way of handling them is just like this. You say, look, there's the 4 aces. And you turn them over, and they're different cards. Okay? So they've changed into different cards. If I wanted to add cards, there's the 4 aces. Let's say I'm just doing a routine where I'm laying out the aces in a row here. I would lay them out like this, and the first 2 cards would be switched. See? So I don't have to do that secret subtraction move. And it happens on the offbeat. It happens between tricks. I've just produced the 4 aces, and nobody's paying attention to me because the trick is over, and I'm taking my bow, and I go, thank you very much. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks. Oh, would you like to see another one? Oh, okay, I'll show you another one. Okay, let's start the trick now. So now there's nothing for them to see because I did it on the offbeat. I did it between tricks, okay? Now this is a little something I call versus switch. And versus switch is essentially this is like a Curry turnover. Paul Curry had a move called the Curry turnover, which I don't really do very well, but the idea is that this middle finger goes in here, and you press down with the other ones on the side, so you can open this like a book. And when you turn that card over, you're going to press that card down as if that was the card you turn over. I don't do it very well, but I'm just showing you the basic grip. The basic grip is like that. The middle finger goes all the way in, and you press down with these, and that way you can open these up, okay? But if you get a break on 4 cards, you can open it up and you have 4 cards. So you spread them in the direction that your hand is coming from. So when you come under here, you're going to open up like this under the fan, like that. You're going to do this and bring your hand up and square. So you do this and square, and this and square. So the cards are just there, and you just tap. Now, the wrong way to do it is to make a move out of it and go, now the aces here are going to go in the, you're all right, you're already wrong. It's already wrong because you called attention to those cards as you're doing the move. Best way to do it is produce it, nobody's paying attention. Thank you very much, thank you. Nothing's happening now, I'm not doing it. I already did a trick. Oh, would you like to see another one? Oh, okay. Here's a little something with the aces. The trick hasn't started yet. So you do it on the offbeat, in between tricks. So now you've switched out all 4 cards. Or if you're doing an ace routine where you're going to make them assemble one at a time, you can just get 2 cards there. So when you pick these up and you deal these out, you've switched out 2 of those 4. And that's another thing I can show you here is just a very, very, very subtle thing, is if I switch all 4 of those cards at once, I'm going to look up too. I never look at it when I do it. If I'm going to switch all the 4 of those cards and apparently put those on the table, this is the way you see a lot of people do it, is you say, I'm going to put the aces here. Well, that's something you can challenge. Well, let me see if those are the aces. And why did he deal them one at a time? You called attention to something that wasn't very important. So instead, you want to, am I inferring or implying? I always get those mixed up. I'm going to infer. I'm going to infer.
You will imply something, and we will infer it.
Oh, okay. All right, get those mixed up.
Yes,
still not
you're the
sure.
Imperative implying.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to go by from his. I didn't say that, but he said. Okay, so if you're going to switch these, first of all, you don't look at it, do the thing there, talk about it. Oh, you're ready to go? Look at this. If I'm going to lay them in a row for an ace routine, look at how I do this. I'm going to tip them over, and then just start to spread them like that. Whoop, sorry, I got an extra one there. But just spread them like that. And say, I'm going to put them here. I'm going to put them here. I'm going to put them here. So I didn't say aces. You can't say, those aren't them. It's a real general term. So you switch them, whatever, and you say, I'm going to put them here. Or push them off in a block like this. Push them off in a spread. So you've switched them like that, and you just push them off in a block like that. And then just go about your business. Don't make a big deal about it, and it makes it much more deceptive. But that actual switch is a very, very. I use it all the time, always, and it's based on a Marlowe thing I read when I was a kid from one of Alton Sharp's card books, and it was called "Substitute for a Double Lift." He kind of pulled this card down, a single card, and kind of pulled it around the pack like that. Kind of pulled it around the pack. And when he snapped this card, he would come under here and snap the card like that, and those cards would stay together as a single, he'd square up behind it, and he'd turn that over. Let's see if I can do a real one here. But he would show it like that, and he would say, there's the king. Oh, I did a terrible one. But that's the idea. It was based on a Marlowe idea where you apparently turn over that card, and you're switching it for another card. And I just applied that idea to a 4-card packet like that. So, any questions? No? All right.
Let's go.
All right.
We did have on the previous thing using the bottom deal. We did have a technique question about whether using the middle finger to buckle the bottom is the preferred approach.
My preferred, but maybe not somebody else's. It all depends. There's lots and lots of different techniques described in different books. And really what you want to do is just look at them all and compare them all and see what feels best to you. This is a mechanic's grip is like this, with the forefinger on the front and all these fingers on the side like this. So if I put this up here, I only put my finger up here when I do the bottom deal. I hardly ever do. I only use the bottom deal for a couple things. And if I do, I just put it up there for a second, do the bottom deal, and move it back. But that's what I do, and it's basically from Erdnase. But you put that finger right, and there's a million guys that do the bottom deal better than I do. But I use it in context, and I think I can fool people better than most because I'm not I'm not stiffening up and framing up, and I'm doing it at the right moment. I think if I do that Jack McMillan thing, you can fool most people, even magicians, if you do it at the right time. So it's right on the corner, sort of wrapped around the corner, like that, right on the corner, and you're just going to. That's what holds it. The middle finger is what holds it. What buckles it is the ring finger. And you just buckle it enough, just enough to separate it from the bottom of the pack. If you don't buckle it, it's really hard to push off. So what you're doing is you're holding the deck with that finger, and then you're buckling this just enough, and it's covered by the top card being pushed off. You're buckling it just enough to get so you can push it off that much, and that's not very much. Just pulling it off just enough. And because you're holding the deck between the base of the thumb and this middle finger here, that leaves that card free to come out. If you're not holding it like that, then it's in the way. Your fingers are in the way and you can't get it. But your fingers can move out of the way like that, so you don't have to have any fingers over here, and you can pull it free. If you have your fingers over here, that's in the way and you can't pull the card out. So it's not so much, I mean, that's my preferred method, the Erdnase bottom deal. You pull that one back as you pull that out. But really, any technique that looks natural, anything that feels natural to you and done in context, done with misdirection, done with flow. Like I said before, if all you do is practice, all you do is practice the bottom deal like this and do every third one and whatever, that's fine, or every other one, whatever you're doing, that's fine. But if your routine is a poker routine and you're doing this, you want to practice it in the context of the routine that you're doing. You want to practice it in the context of dealing them out like that, sailing them as you deal them into different people, and getting them in rhythm and not looking at it, because guys don't look at it. You know, the typical, like I said before, the typical gambler, you don't want to look like, you want to handle them neatly. When you go, hey, get me another beer. Well, you got the thing there. Okay, whoops, sorry. You get the thing. You know, handle it that sloppy. But yeah, here. All right, give me another beer. Give me another beer. You know, and that will pass because that's natural. But if your pinkies are extended and you're making a routine out of it, then all the focus is on your hands, and you're not going to be as deceptive or anything. So I'll show you one of the most commercial routines that I do, and I'm going to have this fellow. Would you mind coming up and help me? Why don't you, if you would come on this side? That's good. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Hi. What's your name?
John.
John. Me too. Hey, that'll be easy to remember. If you would take one, anyone at all. No, I'm just kidding. Anyone at all. Show the audience. Now let me see. That's good. And I'd like you to place it back 26 from the 26. There we go. Yeah. You buy that? I just say 26 and they believe me. I have an honest face, I guess. I'm going to try to find it with one hand behind my back. Here we go. Bam! 6 of spades. No, I didn't say it was your card. I said, there it is, the 6 of spades. Wait a minute here. Bam! 2 of diamonds. It's 9 of spades. Any of these look familiar? Doesn't ring a bell? Oh, okay. They look a little like your card, don't they? Same shape? They're all red, kind of rectangular. If you're going to split hairs, to me that looks like a 5 of spades. So does that one. Matter of fact, all 3 of these cards to me look like the 5 of spades. But I've got a great imagination. What was the name of the card you selected just a moment ago?
5 of spades.
See, I told you all 3 of these cards to me look like the 5 of spades, but I've got a great imagination. Look, just for fun, I'm going to mix them around. You turn face up the real 5. Just turn one of the cards face up, if you would. Try not to give you 2 out of 3. Any other? Just, you think it might be this one here? No, I never have it. Thank you. Thanks, I appreciate it. Oh, there it is. The 5 of spades would have been up here. Thank you very much for helping. I appreciate that. Thank you. This is one of the most commercial routines I do. I've been doing this forever. And if I just have to do one trick for somebody, I'll probably do this trick because it's funny. It's very surprising when they look up and they see. And the challenge was I wanted to fool a room full of people or a bunch of people. Now, the way it's normally done, you get a guy up here and you're talking and you palm the card out and you say, look in the deck. And while they're looking in the deck, you go, shh, I'm going to do that. And you lick the card and you stick it on your forehead. And the guy can't see because he's looking at the cards here. And it's a big laugh. Everyone can see, the cards there. The guy can't see it. And eventually he looks up and he sees it on your head. That's a great trick. Very commercial. It's a mystery to him. But everyone sees you put that card on your forehead. And I said, I want to fool more people. I want to fool more people. You can tell when you fool them because they're laughing. They laugh when at the right moment. They don't laugh when you stick it up there. They laugh like, 10 seconds, 5 seconds later when it appears on your forehead. So you need to get the attention off your hands and off the cards. So I begin by having a card selected, and he selects a card, and I do this little thing. It's just a little excuse. I say, put it back 26 from the 26. And it's all just a little joke, but it looks like it has to go back someplace special. But then you just dribble. I mean, you go, I have an honest face, whatever. It just gives me an excuse to do the pass on the offbeat. Okay, so if it's the Jack of Diamonds, I dribble and I put just a little bit of my little finger in there, and dribble these, and then give them a spread, and then let go. Now that's another principle there called punctuation. Di Vernon talked to me about a thing called punctuation. He said, well, writing, speaking, music, all these things have punctuation. If you're writing a book, you don't want to run on sentence. You don't want to say, you just talk like this and everything, and you don't have any kind of commas or any kind of ellipses or any kind of dashes or anything like that. You're just talking, and everything kind of blends together, and it's all one sentence, and it's very confusing because you don't know when one idea starts and another ends, and it's very confusing, right? And you don't know when to relax, or you can't emphasize a certain idea. But everyone talks and writes with punctuation. So sometimes I might pause with a comma, or I might emphasize something with an exclamation point, or perhaps an ellipse when two ideas are connected, or a colon or semicolon when ideas are related, like this idea or this idea or this idea. So there's punctuation. But when you run everything together, there's no place for people to relax, and that's when you misdirect them, and that's when you really fool them, when they're not paying attention, when they're not staring at your hands. That's when you fool them. So you need punctuation. So Vernon said, if you're going to palm a card, instead of palming a card and putting the deck down like that and creeping away, everyone's going to follow your hand creeping away. Right? Doesn't matter if they see it. That doesn't matter. It's out there, and you're focused on it because I haven't broken the tension. Everyone's looking at the cards. They're still looking at the cards. That's a run-on sentence. So he said, if you really want to do this, he said, you put it down with a definitive slap, and you talk like that. That's a period. That's a period. You go, bam, and you move your hand away like that. See, that's much, much more compelling. You're done with that action. You're tense or talking, something is important. Now it's not important because I'm going to talk about something else. Okay? So that gives them people a place to relax. And it's the same thing with a side steal. I do a side steal either for a color change. I talked before about the palm and just the fact that you changed hands with the pack. But to show you the idea of, would you mind coming up here for just a second? I'll show you a Leipzig trick, which is really a lovely trick. If I have you pick a card like this, you think I'm cheating. I don't want you to think that. I'm very sensitive. So I'm just going to riffle the corner like this. Sometimes as I riffle the corner, you say stop. Well, here, I'll turn my head so I can't see.
Stop.
You actually saw a card? Did I go too fast? You actually saw one? Okay. I have to show you that your card's not on the top or the bottom, and then have you hold out your hand, palm up for me, please, just like a maitre d'. That's good. I'm going to put the cards flat on a little more flat, flat on your hand, and name the card you peeked at in the middle there.
Two of diamonds.
It appears there's the two of diamonds. Yeah. Let's try it again. Here, say stop as I do this.
Stop.
Okay, did you see one?
Got it.
Did you see that, or otherwise we got to take his word for it, I guess. Union rules. I got to show you it's not on the top. It's not on the bottom. Hold out your hand just like you did before. What was the name of the card?
10 of hearts.
Okay. Would you drop it in there face up? Face up. Face up. Whoop, all the way in. There we go. So it's face up about, 20, well, it's approximately 26. Hold out your hand like you did before. Place it flat on the deck. Come straight up. When you get right here, snap your fingers. It appears right on top of the pack. No, more like this, watch. That's what makes it come up. Thank you very much. Well, oh, don't go away. Don't go away. Because the whole idea was to talk about punctuation, right? So here's the idea. It's tension and relaxation, and it's changing the moment, sort of. So if I just have him peek at a card, this is now. Some of you at home may be confused. You say, well, he's holding the deck in that hand. I've always held the deck in that hand. I'm not a left-handed person. I'm a right-handed person. But when I first started learning magic, I read the books, and it felt so uncomfortable for me to hold the deck over here and deal him like that, because all the hard moves are done with the bottom hand. The pass, look, the top hand doesn't do anything. Top hand doesn't do anything. Palms, top hand really doesn't do anything. This is pushing the card at culls. The bottom hand's doing all the work. The side steal, all those moves, bottom palm, all this is doing all the work, right? So I just naturally put the cards in the other hand, and it was a lot of work, but anytime I read a routine that said the right hand, I would mentally go left hand. Every time they say right hand, I'd say left hand. Every time they say left hand, I'd say right hand. So it was very confusing, but once you got it off the page and just practiced the trick without reading it, it didn't make any difference, but it was so much more powerful. And one of the things I discovered by accident, not by design, was that peeking a card, the idea of peeking a card and holding a break, the standard way is to hold it in the left hand, and somebody opens up and they peek. And you hold a break down here, like that, right? So they peek at a card, you hold a break. Well, look, the break's on the same side as where they peeked it. But I discovered by accident, because I was holding the deck in this hand, if you peek the card over here, I'm holding the break over here. It's much more deceptive, accidentally, much more deceptive. And all I'm doing is I'm opening it here, and this finger kind of goes in, the forefinger, the tip of it goes in, and it kind of rocks like a seesaw, like that. It kind of rocks on that and opens up in the back enough for me to get that little finger break. So when he's doing this, that forefinger goes in here, I press down, it levers it up in the back, and I've got a break on that side. So it's very deceptive to do this and this. I fool a lot of magicians with that just because they're expecting it the standard way of doing it. And right after that, I spread them. And it looks very casual and very open, and, that's it. Okay, so if I'm going to have you peek it, if I just turn around like this and go like this, you're looking for where your card is because you just peeked it. You're still paying attention. So what I do is I use a little punctuation. I'm going to finish that action. I'm going to finish that action with the definitive moment and a comment, and I'm going to look at him, Ramsey, look at him in the eye. So if I do this, I'm deliberately looking away. Deliberately, and he says, stop, you got it? There's the break. I say, did you get a card or did I go too fast? Boom, that's the period. Did you get a card or did I go too fast? That's the end of that action. He's going to stop looking at the cards, and now I'm going to casually square the cards as I look him in the eye. Did you actually see a card? And in that action, you bring the card to the top. Now, it's not a standard side steal where you go into a palm. It's a side steal called the deliberate steal that Marlowe put in. I think it's an action palm, a little pamphlet. Now they're printed in a collection of Marlowe's work. But it's held like this. It's like you're holding the deck from above like that. Just take the deck away, and you'll see how the card is held like that. And you go, well, everybody could see that. But it's the angle you hold it at. So if I hold it like this, obviously you're going to see it. But if I hold the deck like this, and the card comes out at this angle, I'm doing it right for the camera now. I'm pointing that right towards your eye, so you don't see this. It's on a level with the deck, and I'm going to square it with the deck and do that. So there's lots of things happening here. I'm sorry if I'm skipping around, but there's a lot of things happening. So he says stop. I hold a break. I spread the cards and say separate. There's my period, punctuation. And now I come back to square the cards as I look them in the eye. And I say, you actually saw a card there? And all you're doing is you're pushing it out, just like a side steal. just like that. You get it started with the little finger, and then the rest of the fingers push it out, just like you would with side steel in the Leipzig book. Okay, so you push it out like that, but you're gripping it like this, and then you're just squaring it on top of the deck like this. As you square the deck, you're doing that, and you're squaring the deck. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to expose it again, and then I'm going to try to do one that looks good. Boom, like that. Look them in the eye as my hands come together. Did you actually see a card?
Yep.
And it's done in a second there, so you got it on the top there. So I'll do one at regular speed. You got one? Okay, you actually saw a card there. Okay, right. So it's just that quick. Okay, so if you want to, I'll finish by explaining the Leipzig trick and those little touches on the thing. He says stop. So he's got the 10 of clubs there. Did you actually see a card, or did I go too fast? You actually saw one? Okay, good. I have to show you it's not on the top or the bottom. See, I did the Vernon push-off as I'm talking. I got a break on 2. I pushed him over and got a break on 2. I say it's not on the top or bottom. I'll see how much better that is than saying not on the top, not on the top, not on the bottom. It wastes time, and, it looks suspicious. So if I just go not on the top, not on the bottom, boom, it's over with. You're on to the next thing. I turn these over, hold them in my hand. Now, I have a reason for bringing my hands together, because I'm going to put it over here to say hold out your hand. So now when I take the deck back, I'm going to push that card into my palm as I separate the hands. So I have a reason for my hands to come together. So the card is the 7 of hearts. I control it to the top. As I look at him, I say it's not on the top, it's not on the bottom. Hold out your hand just like that, like a maitre d', and I make a little joke there. And as I go to put it on his palm, I palm this out. I start to put it, oh, wait a minute. That's an offbeat thing, too. If I just did this and put it back in my hand, he'd watch it. But I go like that. Oh, a little more flat, like that. So now it's right next to that. As I take the deck, I push that onto the face and turn the deck face down on top of his hand. There we go, put it like that. Thank you. And then take my time, dramatic motion. Mike Skinner called this the magic moment. Too many magicians just go, the coin's here, now it's there, now it's here, now it's back, now it's there. The card's in the middle, now it comes to the top. They don't have any moment where you make the magic happen. If you see Harry Potter, changes into a goat. Big puff of smoke. Sparks and lightning. Something happens. He waves his wand of magic dust, something. But magicians, coin's here, now it's back, now it's here, now it's here. They don't cause it to happen. So it doesn't look like magic. But if I do this, Mike Skinner taught me, he called this the exaggerated pause, because it creates tension. It's almost uncomfortable. If you're quiet, and then you reveal it like that, people go, ah! It's the same trick. I could just do the same thing and just go, there it is. But if I go like this, like that, I go like that. Amazing. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one, you say stop. Good. I say, oh, did you see one this time? I use a different excuse. Otherwise, we have to take his word for it. I look him in the eye as I steal this one. Same thing, double lift, not on the top, not on the bottom. Hold out your hand like you did before. This time I'm just going to steal into the palm. I'm not going to replace it. And I go like this, and there it is, and you just do that, and it drops into his hand. And then now, drop it into the center, face up. All right, now this last idea, this idea of going like that and appearing on the top, as far as I know, it's Mike Skinner's idea. I saw him do it, and I went like that, and it's something I knew. It just looks so fantastic when it appears there. But I put a little delay. I'm doing the diagonal palm shift, which is in Erdnase. It's a very complicated move, very difficult to explain the whole thing. But normally with the diagonal palm shift, you're putting the card in, you're pushing it in diagonally. I'm going to exaggerate it here just so you can see. Diagonally. And as you square the deck, you're going to pull it out the back. So you can push it in diagonally so you can grab those corners. That's exaggerated. And as you square the deck, you're going to pull it back like that so it's in that position like that. And then as you put the deck down, like that, it's gonna pivot on that little finger. You palm it as you put the deck down. So if you were to do it just as a separate thing from this, you would put the card in like this, and you just square it, you put it down, and you steal the card out like that. So you're apparently squaring it with the pack. You can do it two ways. You can do it a lot of different ways. You can put it in and square the deck and keep the deck in your hand and then put it down, or you can go right from here and put it on the table like that. There's two different ways to do it. But I have a lot of different variations and stuff I put in.
John, is there a really good resource of yours for learning that in depth?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
what's that?
is. As a matter of fact, it's called Unpalming.
Nice.
And it's on my website, carneymagic.com. And it has top palm, bottom palm, diagonal palm shift, cops, steals, all kinds of different palming. Different ways of palming playing cards, the psychology of palming cards, and a lot of different techniques. And I have at least 5 or 6 variations of the diagonal palm shift, different ways to cover it, do it from the middle, from the top, from the bottom, all these different variations here. So thanks for helping me there. So normally I would do this, but again, I always thought that's the wrong time. Remember what I said about you're doing it, no matter how smoothly you do it or how invisibly you do it, they're watching it as you're doing it. They're watching for their card. You're saying, watch my card go in the middle. Watch it, watch it, watch it. It doesn't matter how well you do it, it's the wrong moment. Maybe they don't see it, but it's the wrong moment. So in this particular case, what I did is I had him put it in face up, and look how casual that looks. He drops it in, and I don't do anything. And I talk and I say, now, you put it in there face up. That's about halfway 26. And I up jog it as I'm talking to him. And that's a better time to do it, because I say, look, it's about halfway down. And I don't deliberately jog it. I just sort of casually, it's just, as I unsquare the cards, it just ends up that way. And then I look at him as I do it. And I put it on the table, and I say, put your hand, I hold out your hand, and that's my misdirection, is I say, it's about halfway down. Hold out your hand, and that's my misdirection. I'm looking at him, and I say, place it flat on top, come straight up in the air. When you get here, snap your fingers like that. And he does that. And while he's doing that, back here, I just kind of rest my hands like that, and I go, no, here, let me show you. And that's a transfer that I learned from Di Vernon. If you could back up just a little bit, I just want her to be able to see if she wants to see. Di Vernon had a thing, a palm transfer, where he could change it from hand to hand like that, in the action of, you're sort of rubbing or massaging your hands like you're ready to do something, and in the action of doing that, you're transferring it from hand to hand. And essentially what you're doing is you're pressing up with your little finger so it comes up at an angle like that. You're kicking it up at an angle. So when this other hand comes over, you press down on that corner, and it pops up into your hand because you've got that exposed corner. So you do this, angle it out about that much. This hand comes over, you pop it up, and then you come around the back, and you kind of stroke this with your thumb. So it's like you're massaging your hands like that. So that's the idea behind it. You're doing that and that. And then Vernon would go back and forth a couple times. Well, as beautiful an idea as that is, again, I don't like hand washing, and I don't like calling attention to my hands when I'm doing something. So instead, I cut it in half. Instead of going like this and like this and like this and like this, I do this. No, do this. See? So it's just resting there. So I say, put your hand here and come up. When you snap your fingers, the card will appear. And then I relax. No, like this. See, so I'm just resting here. So I've eliminated all that hand washing because it only looks like I just rest my hands here for a second. And I go, well, here. All right, so now the cards face up. And I say, well, here, let me show you. And you come over here and do this and like that. And again, that's one of those things where people go, ah! It's such a surprise. Thanks, John. Thanks for helping. I appreciate it. Give John a hand.
John, I believe we have gone on a long and fruitful tangent away from everywhere, nowhere, and
oh, right,
in
yeah,
your face.
we were doing
on your,
another
on your
trick,
face.
weren't we?
Is it on your face?
Yeah, everywhere,
right.
nowhere, and on your face.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, thank you for. I had no idea where I was. Okay, so, but that's what I mean by I'm explaining these tricks, but these are principles that you can apply to anything. So. I'll just explain this really quickly, and then we're going to wrap up, or if you have a question or something here.
We got plenty of questions.
Okay, all right. So I controlled the card to the top, like that. So his card's the ace of clubs, let's say. All right. I say about 26, about halfway down. That's it. And I just make a joke about 26. I don't know how many it is. But that just gives me a little joke and a little something to say as I do the pass to bring the card up to the top. And then I put my hand behind my back and I open up anywhere in the center. Boom, wrong card. Another card, wrong card. Turn the deck face up, wrong card. And then I say, any of these look familiar? And as I do that, I glimpse what the card is. So I say, any of these look familiar? I just make a joke about it. And I glimpse it myself. I don't let him see it, but I say, any of these look familiar? And I look and see what it is. And I say, well, these look a little like your card, same shape, they're all red. And I get a break on that selected card. And I say, that looks like a ace of clubs. So does that, so does that. So now he knows I know what the card is. And it's not, it's like, oh, he really does know. And I take these off one at a time. I used to just put this on here and pick that card up. But it's much more deceptive to take these one at a time, like that, sort of jog to the side. And then as I pick them all up, I pick up that card. So you've shown those cards individually. So now I say, what was the name of your card? And he says, the ace of clubs. And I go, well, see, and I just slowly raise this up so they can see it. There's no moves or anything. I go, what was it? Oh, see, I told you. These all look like the ace of clubs to me. And this is the Brother John Hammond frustration count here. You do that and that. You're just pulling off the top card. It's a discrepancy because you're pulling off the bottom card and you're showing you're pulling off the top card and you're showing the bottom card. But when you do like three in a row like that, it looks very deceptive. It looks like you just showed three ace of clubs. And especially if you move those cards. Don't keep them in a nice, neat little package there. You do this, you pull off the next one and do that, and that kind of misdirects them as you turn this over here. And then I put this on the bottom, and then I do a very simple bottom palm, the way with a packet, the way I usually do with a packet, sometimes with a whole deck, I do it like this. I'm holding it from the ends here, and then I rub this finger down the side as I'm squaring. And when I rub this finger down, that pulls this at an angle. So I'm pulling like that. I'm pulling at an angle. Pulling angles, okay? So I pull it down angles, and I come forward to square it again. It goes right in the palm, and I do that. So it's a very simple action. There, I've shown 3, 1, 2, 3. And now I look away at the cards, from the cards, and I do this. Very simple bottom palm. And I lay these out and start mixing around. Now that keeps their eyes on the table because I'm moving the cards, and they go, oh, I don't want to lose track of the ace. Of course, it's not there. It keeps the eyes off this. And I say, turn over any card at all. Now when he turns over that card, everyone's going to be looking at that card. And I just lick my finger like this, I just go, any card, any card, like that. And I just lick this finger like that, and I go, any card at all, really, any card at all. And I just rub it here, any card at all. But by this time, everyone's looking here as I go, yeah, well, any other card, give you 2 out of 3. And I kind of move these around to keep his attention on the table. And as he turns this one over, I want this on my face and press against there. I want this other hand back down and in the frame before this card is completely face up. Because if he turns it over and just looks up, he's going to see the card. But if I time it right, so I say, any other card, and he starts to turn that over, and I go, that's okay. What about this one? See, now he hasn't looked down. He's still looking down here at this one, and my hand moves over to this one, and I go, well, you think it could be this one here, like this, and that's the weirdest thing. And when you look up like this at the spectator, and he sees, that's the first time he sees it, and you can tell on most occasions when it doesn't fall or whatever, and the misdirection's right, 90% of the people, 95% of the people, that's the first time they're going to realize it when you do that. And that is a huge surprise for everyone. It's funny and amazing and just a really, really commercial card trick. If you're going to do any card, just one card trick, that's the one I would always do. Yeah. So you have some questions?
We have lots of questions. You want me to give you some that maybe you can explain some stuff that's up there? Let's see. Let's go back to some coin things. How about like the edge palm? Can you explain the edge palm? Yes.
Did I do the edge palm?
You didn't, but they're just asking in general.
Edge palm. Well, I'm not sure how to define the edge palm. There's lots of different palms, so I'm not sure what you're talking about exactly. Here's one thing I would define as an edge palm, like this. Sometimes if I have a stack of coins, I might hold it in this position.
Yeah, they were kind of asking about multiple coins, the way that Downs' modern manipulation.
So something like that. It's almost like thumb palm, but turned sideways, like that. So you can hold your hand like this, and you can have multiple coins in that position. I use this in a slot machine in my cornucopia. I have a routine for Dr. Sauer's slot machine where I hold the coins like this. And when I originally read it, it was in Genie magazine. And it was written up very tersely. I think Mike Skinner wrote it up, and he wrote it very quickly. And it said step 1 through 10. Step 1, classic palm, $12 half. Step 2, I go, wait a minute, what was the first one again? Classic palm, you know. And it was more, and really wasn't a classic palm. It was more like an edge grip like that. So it's kind of like a thumb palm, except turned sideways and deep into the fork of the thumb like that, so you can grip them and hold them like that. And so your hand looks, you know, anytime you have anything palmed, especially something like that, it's best to have something else in your hand, a wand, another coin, something to hold so your hand's just not floating out in space. Anytime you palm anything, it's good to have something else in your hand. But I think that covers
Got any advice on getting into it? Is it one of those things that you just got to set up on the offbeat?
Well, with one coin, it's easy. You do that, and it's easy. With a group, now you've got noise.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have any noise there, but I don't have a specific routine. About the only routine I really use it for, I think at one point I have a champagne glass and coins. I forget, I call it silver and glass. But I take some coins, I do a French drop like that. So I'm dropping the coins as I apparently take them over here. And then the action of pulling up my sleeve, that gives me an excuse to close my hand. So after doing the French drop, I pull up my sleeve and I push those. That gives me an excuse to close my hand and get them in position. So then after this, I hold my lapels or something like that. But it depends on the context. It depends on the routine that you're doing, how you get into it and how you get out of it. Always consider the context. What comes before, what comes after, what other objects are on the table that you could hold, or what are you moving into? And those all provide excuses for palming and excuses for getting in and out of things. And just consider what comes before, what comes after, and you know, you can come up with your own ideas. But I hope that's enough.
And John, I'm kind of curious along those lines. Did you amass a foundation of moves that you didn't really have a use for them, and then you started to put together routines and found that one sort of feels right at this time?
Well, I don't think that's what I would recommend for people. I think in the beginning we're all jamming. We're all just jamming everything into our brain that we can get in there because we're curious and we want to learn every move that we could possibly move. So I just went through Bobo and learned a lot of moves. But the problem with that is you're learning a lot of things that you're not going to use. So you're spending a lot of time practicing things that you're not going to use. So I would recommend, and I even had a friend of mine recently, David Williamson. I'll say, hey David, how are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah, don't give him any more credit than he already has for anything, right?
David's learning to play the ukulele.
Yeah.
And I play the guitar and the ukulele, and I'm a sort of intermediate player, not a great player, but I've only been playing the ukulele for a short while. And he was trying to learn theory at the same time. He's learning all these different chords and memorize all these chords. I go, oh, you're getting too deep before you even learned a song. Pick a song that you want to learn where the chords aren't too complicated. You can go online and find, different things. and then pick something that you want to learn, and now you're motivated to practice because you want to learn that particular trick. And so you'll learn the moves in the context of that trick. Instead of just learning a lot of moves that you're never going to use, pick a trick that you can learn. You use that trick as a means of learning those moves or learning how to use those moves in a routine rather than separating them. And then it's you can't really show anybody. You can learn every move in Bobo without the routines, every move in Bobo, and you've got nothing to show anybody. You've spent hours and hours and hours and weeks and months and years practicing, and you've got nothing to show anybody. You can do this and you can do that, but you don't have anything to entertain them. You don't have a routine. So, if you pick a routine, learn that one routine, learn the moves in that routine, then move on to another routine and learn the moves in that routine. I think that's a more healthy, productive way to amass repertoire. And you don't need to learn everything. I tell people all the time, get a working repertoire of 5 or 6 tricks, and you can go back and you can learn other things, but keep coming back to those tricks over the years. Keep coming back, and how can I improve that? Oh, here's a new idea on that. Oh, what if I did this? People are suspicious when I do this. How would I cover that if I do? Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, what can I say when I do this? Oh, that's a good presentation idea. Why don't I try that next time? And so if you keep coming back and proving these 6 tricks, you always have that core. When somebody says do a trick, boom, you're at your best. You've practiced those tricks, you understand it inside and out, and you're not saying, show me a trick. And you go, well, here's something I learned yesterday, and you're learning something. You can kind of do it, and it's kind of fun because it's new, but it's not very professional. So if you just pick a few things and do them really well, so much better than learning 1,000 tricks. Perfect example is Albert Goshman. Albert Goshman was a young magician at one point, and he was following Di Vernon around, and Vernon had a great reputation, and he actually said to Vernon, he says, nobody knows who I am. He says, how did you get such a great reputation? He says, Albert, you're just spreading yourself too thin. You're trying to learn every trick in the book. He said, just concentrate on, just pick 10 tricks. Just pick 10 and just do those 10 tricks. And that was the coins under the salt shaker, the rising cards, the chink with the bottle caps, and all his standard card in the purse, all those routines. And he did those better than anybody else. One of the best close-up magicians in the world. Not because he did 1,000 tricks, because he did those 10 tricks better than anybody else. And when he came out and did a show, bam, he hit you over the head. He blew everybody away. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we do have one person in particular who's working on 3 coins across. And because he asked about coins across that way, I don't think he's talking about fingertip version of it. Do you have any work that you might import?
Sure. I think I'm 1 coin short here. Does somebody have 4 coins? $4.50? I think I might have them.
Who's got a half dollar?
You got it? Okay. If you got 4 halves, like I said, get everything off the table that you're not using. That's good. So it doesn't distract from. These are Kennedy half dollars. So one at a time, they're going to fly through the air and right over here. If I do this, hup. There we go. There's the first one, and you do this. And that's 2 and 2, 2 here and 2 here. You do this, hup. That's 3. 1, 2, 3. And watch the last one. I did that a little sloppy, but there you go. So one of the things I'm trying to do is separate the moves from the routine. All right? Now, and typically, it's all one thing. People would do something like this. They palm the first one. They go, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, and it goes across. And now I'm still going. And for no reason, I put the coins back in this hand to put them back in that hand and do this. And you're constantly putting them down and moving them around and doing all this stuff. And now the trick is so muddled because you're doing moves and effects in the same thing, and there's no punctuation and there's no emphasis on anything. So I said, man, wouldn't it be great if you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, or at least give the impression that you're doing that. Maybe you aren't doing that, but people, if you can misdirect people and do things in a flow, that's how that's how they remember it. That's the impression that they get. You don't necessarily do that. So this thing, I'll just show you this real quick. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that looks very casual, right? But I've retained 2 coins in a purse palm. So I toss 1 there, right into purse palm, or if it's not, I kind of adjust it. Toss another one there, kind of make sure that's in purse palm. And I don't palm them yet, but I drop these other ones loose. So now when I turn my hand over, I can do the purse palm, that's in Bobo, like that, and these go. But look at the difference.
And for anybody that's not familiar with purse palm, just if you can expose it forward, so
just squeeze it between at the base of these fingers like this. It's for spellbound, and the purse palm was like they have a purse, and they put a couple coins in the old fairs and the carnivals. They put these coins in the thing, but they drop it behind the purse and palm it like that. And then when you open it up, they mix it around, and you buy one, and you open it up later. You paid $1, and you have 2 pennies inside the thing. You think you're getting, you're more than.
You think you might be able to win something, but
yeah, right. You think it might be, but the idea is that you're hiding a coin just like that, and your hand can be flat like that. That's the idea. So I want to make this as casual as possible. See how casual that looks, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4. See, I made a whole thing about just putting the coins from one hand to another, and I haven't started the routine yet. I go, what's the 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, now here's the deal about. See, I've already got the coins. So here's the deal. You do this. All the attention's here, and you go hup. I follow it with my eyes. I go hup, and that little bit there is something. Di Vernon said this old guy, he taught the purse palm in one of his lectures years ago. He did spellbound, and he had a coin and purse palm like that. And there was an old guy in the front row, and he knew this guy was a kid show magician, and he's doing this sleight of hand trick, and he showed the purse palm like that. The old guy goes, oh, he got all excited. He goes, where's this kid show guy getting excited about this sleight of hand purse palm thing? Oh, well, he just kind of blew it off. And then the next day, he's staying with Fawcett Ross, and Fawcett Ross said, hey, that old guy, he's doing a kid show down at the school. You want to go watch? He goes, yeah, it'll be fun. Let's go watch the guy perform for the kids. So they went down, they watched his whole show, and he got into the miser's dream. And at some point, he's watching the miser's dream, and the old man said, oh, look, there's a coin. And Di Vernon goes, yeah, the old guy's using his noggin. He applied it. He took the idea and he applied it to something. He didn't just say, I'm going to copy what he did. He found a place for it. So here I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. See how casual that is? See how casual that is just to do that and that? So just make sure the first couple are in the purse palm, and you do that. Put all the attention here. And then you go like that. That's from the old guy. I got that idea secondhand from the old guy to do that. And I flash that as 1 coin. It's 2 coins. Flash it. And then I kind of come over here as I push 1 forward. And I move these around. It looks like 3. I just move them back and forth as I say that's 1 and 3. And then I go, hup. Like that. And now there's 2. And so I say 2 here and 2 here. Now, there's a lot of different ways of doing that, but I just transferred those 2 coins. And what I did is I said 2 here and 2 here. These are like in a thumb palm. See, as I close my hand, you got to get them in position right away. You can't hesitate and adjust them and everything. You got to practice so you don't have to do a lot to get them into that position. So they're right in thumb palm. And then I push them up with my forefinger like that. I push them up. So over here, I finger palm these, and apparently I'm just going to tap them. I say 2 here and 2 here, but I finger palm these and push these up as I go, and 2 here. So it looks like 2 here and 2 here. And you come away and you got those in finger palms, so it still looks like you have 2, and you go, hup. And now you put all the coins in purse palm and spread the top 2. So when you show those bottom 2, that bottom one remains hidden as you show the 3 on top. And then I just dump, I retain one with my thumb, and I dump the ones below, like that. And then I apparently show one here, and I get this behind my hand like that. and I'm going to press like this. I have to hold it down because it's here. I go like that, boom, boom. It looks like the coin went like that from there to there. Like that, and the last one goes. So there's a million coins across routines, and I've learned all of them. I've done with shells, without shells. I've done 3, I've done 4. I like a lot of the ideas with 3 fly, but I don't think that is visual enough. I don't think you can see the difference between 2 and 3 coins unless you're right on top of it. And the emphasis, it happens at the same time. It appears and disappears at the same time, so it's kind of like, oh, did I see what I thought I saw? I must be confused. In my mind, that's my opinion of those type of things. When you do it with the fingertips and you make them appear and disappear at the same time, people go, was it already there? I forget. Oh, I must have missed something, you know. So it's not as clear. But it's better when you have a magic moment, like Mike Skinner said with the to have a magic moment. If you have a glass and the coin goes across, clink, into the glass, that's a magic moment when it goes out. It goes up the sleeve, across the chest, clink, into the glass. That's a magic moment. So I have a routine with the champagne glass and the coins that's very effective. A lovely routine. I really like Di Vernon and Edward Victor. But that's one routine, one set of ideas. But the idea is to separate the technique. Don't make the technique part of the trick. Now it's across, now here, now it's all blending together. Really, whenever you do a move, really separate it and really make that coin go across. Boom. There. You know, and a very simple coins across is just to have an extra coin. See, you have an extra coin here, so you retain 1 in finger palm, toss 2, and show 3 over here, and then just, if you want to do a 3 flag type of thing, just pull that one down, exposing those 2 coins, and 1 appears over there. No shell, right? And then I just do this. I finger palm that as I apparently toss it, and I drop the finger palm coin there. So then there's 2, and I go, hup, there's another one. And hup, there's the last one, like that. So it looks like, I'm going to do a little closer to the table, but you have 3 and 1 goes across, and then you have 2 and 1 goes across, and then you have 1 and 1 goes across, and you know that's a really streamlined routine. There's not a lot of moves. It's all magic and all things going across. So that's the best I can do without going into a million different versions of it. But the thought behind that, separating them, giving a magic moment when they appear, making everything clear, not blending the moves with the actual effect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Cool. While we're on the subject of coins, is there a good source for a good Ramsey cylinder?
Yeah. The original Ramsey had one student, Andrew Galloway, and Andrew Galloway was just a young kid in town, and Ramsey didn't teach anybody any of his tricks. Even Di Vernon. I was very surprised because Di Vernon, I don't know, yeah, well, he didn't show me anything. Maybe later in life he might have shown them something, but basically he didn't show anybody. But he said, I'm going to die with these secrets. So he found one kid in the local magic club. He taught him everything, and he made it do it exactly the way he did. Same timing, same this. Now Ramsey was a very wily grandpa with a twinkle in his eye and everything. And Andrew Galloway does these things perfectly. He doesn't have Ramsey's personality, which is part of the secret. That personality, that twinkle in his eye makes you look up and disarms you and everything. That's part of the secret. Galloway does everything technically very, very, very beautifully. And that's in the Ramsey Classics, a small hardbound book. I think it might be reprinted or something. And then he put out a series of tapes, and now they're DVDs. And then I took these and I made a DVD called Carney on Ramsey, which has a cylinder and coins, and the coins in the hat. But it uses those tricks to illustrate principles of misdirection that are applicable to the top chain, side steal, the pass, anything you do. I always use that Ramsey idea, looking at it myself and then looking at them when I do the move, looking back and that sort of thing. So that's called Carney on Ramsey. That's a DVD I put out. And I also have some in my book, Carneycopia. But if you want to see it demonstrated Carney and Ramsey's a DVD I put out.
Cool. We have a question here in the studio. Well, let's get you a microphone. It's coming right behind you. There you go.
What do you think about the Victor Borelli explanations?
Here's the funny thing. That's an interesting question. I haven't read it for years. Since when I was a kid, I heard Ramsey cylinder coins was a difficult trick, so naturally I go, that's the trick I want to learn. I want to learn the hardest knuckle-busting trick I can find. But it was out of print. I couldn't find it anywhere. It's not like today where everything's on the internet. You can find copies of everything everywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I met a guy named Scotty York, who was a very clever magician, and he did it. And I go, oh my God, I begged him for it, and he let me borrow the book, and I read the book and learned it from that, and I haven't looked at it in years, the Victor Borelli explanation, so I can't talk too much about Victor Borelli except for one little anecdote. And the anecdote is when he wrote up the whole routine, you know, Ramsey's whole thing was look at the audience, look at the audience, look at the thing yourself, then look at them. If you want somebody to look at something, look at it yourself. If you want somebody to look at you, look at them. It's all about timing and looking up. Same thing if you're doing a top change. You know, if you're doing a top change or something, you look at the thing yourself and then you look at them, and that's when you do the top change. You do it as you look at it yourself, and then you look at them as you do the move. Okay, so. That basic idea, look at the audience, look at the audience. And Victor Borelli wrote up the whole routine, this finger goes here, that finger, left out, look at the audience. And he gave it to Ramsey to proofread. Ramsey reads it, he says, you didn't, he's a Scottish guy, Ramsey. He said, you didn't put a look at the audience. And he says, well, it's not important, the fingers go here and the fingers go there, and you hold the coins like, he says, no, it's important, it's important. He goes, well, they got the basic. He says, no. Put it in capital letters. Look at the audience. He said that's the secret of the trick. All this is moves, but what fools people is that little twinkle in his eye, and when he looked up and he looked away, the timing of that. I mean, you can say look at this and look at the audience, but that timing is everything. If you don't have the timing right, it's not going to be deceptive. But if you have the timing right, you're going to fool even the guys that know what the trick is. But that's a good point, that Borelli left it out, and Ramsey said that's the most important thing, put it in capital letters, look at the audience. Good, thanks.
Sweet. Let's give John a big round of applause.
Thank you very much.
And John, I think most of the other questions, if you want to just come down and sit here with me, we'll just talk for a little while, because some of these other questions
I'll get your coins back in a
are
second.
a little bit more general.
All right.
Because some of these things I'm not even familiar with. I want to start off with one that I don't even know anything about. So, you know, sometimes I get surprised by hearing things. One of the guys wrote in, his name is Hal, and he wrote in and he wanted to know about the napkin trilogy. Now, I haven't heard of what that is. What is that?
Well, I don't have a napkin. I can't really demonstrate it.
I mean, we have some. If all you need is a...
I haven't done it for a while, so
right.
I can't.
Okay.
I don't want to do it on the fly here.
Sure.
But it's a sequence of tricks with some really nice principles in it. Let's see, what's the first thing that happens? You wrap the cards up in a napkin, and the card penetrates through the napkin, and then the next time let's see, I don't even know if no. But first it's a prediction. You have a folded cocktail napkin on the table, and they pick a card, and you shuffle it back in the pack, and it can even be signed or whatever. But you go like this, and it flutters just like that paper fluttered, like that. You see it flutter, and you lift it up, and the selected card's under there. Okay, so that's the first phase, and it's very, very puzzling. It's a good trick in itself, and it's based on Erdney's card under the hat. And I didn't think there was any motivation. He would load a card under a hat, and then it would appear under the hat, but there's no reason to touch the hat. Right. The idea with the napkin is that I wrote a prediction on the napkin, so there's a reason for the napkin to be there. So I'm palming this card, And when I turn over the napkin to show the prediction, now the card is loaded onto the napkin, and they see the prediction. And you go, oh, well, that's one thing, and here's another thing. You riffle it, it flutters, and now the card's under the thing. Now you take the napkin and you wrap up the cards, and then you have them hold out their hand, and you hold their hand like that, and the cards penetrate through the napkin, just like that, until they've all penetrated, and the deck is apparently still wrapped up, but when you open it up, there's only one card in the wrapped up thing, and that's the selected one. And then you wrap it up one more time, and you ask them for something, so you're holding a wrapped up deck, and you go, do you have a lighter? I'm going to do the trick with the light. Oh, we'll forget the whole thing, and you crush the napkin, and you toss it away. So you've done something, yeah. So you've done like 3 different phases, and you have a nice little finish for the routine where the cards are complete.
Now is that from Cornucopia?
Yeah, that's in Cornucopia,
yeah,
and it's in one of my DVDs. I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah, cool. All right, so if somebody wants to follow that further. I think lots of people are interested in this question, and that is, what was your experience like on Letterman?
Oh, my God. I think people, magicians will look at that, maybe and say, oh, geez, if I could just get on that show, I'd show them my Zingo Zango routine or Dipsy Doodle coin or something. I'd blow them away, and I would do this and I'd do that. It was very difficult to choose the material, and under those conditions, they were the worst possible conditions.
What made them so challenging?
Well, first of all, I wanted to do I didn't want to just come on and say, is that your card? And it changes, and that's your card, and whatever. And it's because it's really small. It's not dramatic. It wasn't involving Dave. And basically, they are there to see Dave.
Yeah.
They don't care about me.
Whatever you have to do has got to center on him some way, because he's going to take over no matter what, right?
Yeah, and I'd seen David Roth perform there many years ago, and Tom Mullica, and David Roth, he kept interrupting him, and David has a rhythm going, and he's not used to people talking while he's, he doesn't interact with people normally while he has a routine, he goes through the routine, and Letterman kept interrupting him, and he'd throw him, and he'd go back to the routine, and, it would throw me too. And then I saw Tom Mullica on it, and Mullica's fantastic, but they hired him just to do the cigarettes, and he's doing the cigarettes. And I think after watching David get caught, he said, I'm not going to let him. I mean, I'm interpreting this. If Tom's watching this, I don't know. I'm just saying, you probably, and I probably would have done the same thing, is say, I'm not going to let this guy shake me. I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to do my best job. And that's what he did. But Letterman made a couple jokes. And Tom's a very, very funny guy, very entertaining guy.
But he didn't break it all.
Quick on his feet. But I think he was just determined to get through without Letterman messing with him. And so he just Letterman make a joke. Like Tom went, and Letterman goes, would you like a lozenge? And that was funny. The whole audience roared. And Tom kind of just barreled on through and did his thing. And I go, well, geez, if I'm on the show, people want to see Letterman. They're going to have fun. Hopefully they'll have fun with what I say and what I do. But they're really there to see Letterman, and I don't want to crush the fun. I don't want to stop the fun and go, hey, I'm doing my trick. Don't be funny. I'm doing my trick
I'll tell you what, I loved what you did because it was so relaxed, and you weren't rushing to the ending of anything. You were doing it at his pace, and it was very interactive. And I think you surprised him many times.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I think he started out adversarial, and then I think as he started to go, oh, okay, well, this guy knows what he's doing good. But I think he, and I kind of observed this from watching non-magicians as well. If somebody comes out and they're earnest and they're nice people and they're polite, he doesn't go for the throat. He doesn't attack them. An old lady comes out with potato chips in the shape of presidents' heads and things.
Although he did eat one, didn't he?
Well, I think that was Carson. That was Carson.
No,
yeah,
right.
But just that general idea of people doing weird things, and but they're sweet people coming on, telling their story and everything, and they're just ordinary. They're not superstars. They're just people coming on. And I observe those people, and I go, he never attacks those people. He'll make a joke. He's having fun, just like he would joke with anyone, but he doesn't attack them. But when somebody comes out and they're pretentious and they go, yeah, I'm a big star and I'm appearing in this thing, and they go, it doesn't matter if they're Bruce Willis, who's not like that. They're friendly and everything. But if they're like a big star or something and they're acting pretentious, he goes for it. He knocks them down a few pegs, right? So I thought, don't crush the fun, laugh along, try to come up with something to say and keep the fun going, and then steer it back to the trick. So I had this very complex routine that I had worked out over a period of really years. I produced Fishbowl and other kinds of things. And I go, well, this is a very tough thing to see because the audience is basically behind you. You're performing for him, and the cameras are all here. Yeah. And there's like 4 cameras. I can't even see the audience because the cameras are in the way. You can kind of see them over the top of the cameras, but it's really hard to see them. And so they said before the show, the time leading up to it, they said, what can we do to make this a wonderful experience for you appearing on the show? I go, well, I'd like to have a table, and I want to stand behind the table, and Dave is, no, can't have a table. Well, no, I need a table because that's how I worked out the routine. It's like, I think they think you just push buttons or you have a mechanical thing and and it all works itself. They don't know about misdirection and angles and all these things, and they think it's all self-working. I mean, I'm working my butt off.
Yeah, and you had brought up Carson before, and he was so much better at accommodating magicians, because I remember seeing a lot of the magicians that would appear. They weren't sitting down at the dais with him.
Yeah.
They were on the stage with a table.
He's a magic fan. He knew how magic worked. And he knew how it needed to be presented. So I said I needed that. No, can't have that. I go, well, I really need. No, you want to be on the show or not? So basically, they didn't say that, but basically that's what they say. You want to be on or not? Okay. So all right. So I have to do it at the desk. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll bring out my bag, and I go, no, we don't want anything in your hand when you're walking out. I go, why? We don't want anything in your hand. I go, well, wow, how can? All right. During the commercial break, I'll come out. I'll put the bag on the chair. And then I'll walk off stage, and they introduce me. I'll walk out, it'll already be out. No, we don't want that. So I said, well, what can I do? I had to put it behind the chair. Yeah. So that's with my opposite hand. I practiced thousands of times doing all this stuff with this hand. Now all of a sudden I have to do everything with this hand. It's the opposite hand. And so it was very, very difficult. And then at any point, I said, there's a big divot in the table where he has a microphone there, and there's a big divot in the table. And I said, can we move that microphone to the other side before I come out so we don't have to fuss with it? No, it's there. I said, is it a real microphone? No, it's just a prop. I go, well, can we move it before I come out? No, it's... Okay, well, when you move that, there's a little divot in the thing. Can we put a piece of wood over there? No. Well, when I put something down secretly, it makes a noise because it's a hardwood table. Could we put down a cloth or no, we don't want anything like that. And then it's a roundish, or it's rounded off on the edge, and then there's that divot. So I've only got like this much room to work on. It doesn't look like that, but you've only got this much space to work on.
Oh, it looked like it to me. When I was watching it, I couldn't believe you were getting as much out of that space.
Oh my God, it was very, very difficult. And I'm trying to do something that's going to make an impression. It's going to be original. It's going to have a big finish. It's going to involve him. And so I have literally worked on thousands of tricks in my lifetime, and it came down to like 2 tricks that I thought I would do on there. Really, 2 tricks. I wasn't going to do an ambitious card or something because I just thought it was too small and didn't involve and not big enough and everything. And then I came out and did it, and everybody's in the back. And at any point, he could have just done this. Yep. And he would have ruined everything. I know. So I
that
really had
for me
to have,
was amazing.
I just so whatever.
How was it for you? Were you just?
You know what? It was like I think I just resolved myself. It was like I'm going to go out there. I crash and burn, I crash and burn. I'm just going to have fun. Yeah. I'm just going to try to have fun. Hopefully, it won't go south. And it didn't.
And it didn't. Yeah.
And they also said, we want you to have an extra trick ready if he asks you to do something, but don't volunteer. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, we have Dave thinks it's his show, and the producers think it's their show, starring David Letterman, and David thinks it's his show. So if David, a lot of times they say, "Oh, let's not go to commercial, let's keep going," and they're going, "Oh, cut." So if he says, "Would you do another one?" Be ready to do another one, but don't say, "I have another one." Don't volunteer. Yeah. So at the end of the coconut, I produced a coconut out of a hat there. And they kind of messed me up there. I didn't know about there was a camera from above, and they showed both times I load something. They showed from above. I go, how can I prepare for 5 different cameras above and around? And so I produced this coconut, and he's blown away, and the audience applauds and everything. And he says, "Is that it?" Now, how do you interpret that?
Right. How do you?
Do you have one more? He didn't say, "Do you have one more?" Would you show me one more? He says, "Is that it?" And I kind of look at the producers, and I go, like this. I went like this, and the whole audience roared, and they had a good time. And then he said, "Well, okay, all right, well, we're going to a commercial." And we went to, and they cut that part out, because I don't know, for time or whatever. But and then you walk off stage. It's such a different than you imagine you're in your head. Yeah. The back room, the green room, the room that you start out in before you go out there, is so tiny. It's so tiny. Just a couple of couches. Mm-hmm. It's not fancy. I thought there'd be fruit baskets and a bar, and you could have a drink, and there's some snacks and everything. No, it's nothing like that. Just an old couch and a little room just behind the stage. I mean, it's just a little, it's not like a dressing room. And dressing rooms, I had to go upstairs. I had to go up several flights, and then in the dressing room, there's a picture of Senior Wentz's on the wall, and it's the Ed Sullivan Theater. And I go, "Oh my God, I wonder if Senior Wentz was in this dressing room. That'd be fantastic." And when I was a kid, I watched him on Ed Sullivan. So you walk off stage and you go, "Is that it? I got to go back to my dressing room and pack up my suit, go back to my hotel."
Yeah.
Like, very uneventful. It wasn't like, "Yay!" And balloons and then shaking hands. Oh, fantastic. It was like, "All right, thanks a lot. That was it. Oh, okay, I'm done, I guess." But overall, I think it was a good experience. But if I were to show somebody that routine, I wouldn't show them the Letterman tape, to demonstrate the routine. I'd show them the Letterman tape. I have credibility. I've been on this show. I went toe to toe with David Letterman, and I survived. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what came out of it. It was fun, and it's surreal. I didn't see him backstage. He didn't talk to anybody backstage, or me at least. And so when there's Biff Henderson, the guy we always see.
Sure.
And he's off stage, really nice, sweet guy, friendly guy. And he goes, "You ready to go?" And the music starts, and they introduce me. They push me out, walk out. There's the audience. It's the first time I've seen the audience. I walk over, I sit down. I look over, and there's this guy. I'm inside my television. Yeah. There's a guy that I watched for years and years and years, and now I'm looking him in the face in front of America.
Oh, right.
And it was
for the first time. You didn't get a chance to get used to him at all.
Like, my God, I'm inside my TV. It was very surreal, but overall, it was a good experience. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think you handled it extremely well, and it was obvious to me that the conditions were not conducive. I didn't realize how much they didn't allow you to do when they wanted to make you very comfortable. Yeah. That's the funny part.
And especially the angle problems and all the different things, and then having to learn the entire routine less than a week before I went on. Everything with the opposite hand.
With the opposite hand,
yeah. So you train yourself. So.
I don't have the guts to try something like that. It was really remarkable. Now a few people are asking about your knife routine because they really love it. It's one of their favorites. Fools them every time.
Paper on the knife, I guess.
Hey, I'm not.
I think they're talking about the paper on the knife.
I think so.
That's a very old trick. I won't explain it now, but I'll just say it's a very old trick, the paper on the knife. Mm-hmm. You put a little piece of paper and stick them on the knife, and they appear and disappear. It's used as the paddle move. And when I was growing up, all these old books, it's in Sack Sleight of Hand, it's in some kids' magic books, the Golden Book of Magic or something, one of those old books, Jerry Lewis Book of Magic, I got out of the library. And I kind of look at it and I go, that old thing, I just passed over it. Even when I was a kid, I passed over it. I go, yeah, I kind of get the idea. And then, as you grow up, you learn a million different paddle routines, some with actual paddles, some with jumping gems and, hot rod, and then there's one with the chalk, and then there's this one, they have dozens
rubber
of
bands,
knives,
and
all those
things, toothpicks sticking
Sure,
through them.
yeah.
We
I mean,
learned
they're all
yeah.
very clever, and it's all very interesting, just using the basic paddle move, twisting, as you apparently show the other side. So, I'm familiar with it, the basic thing, but I've never done it with the knife. And I went to lunch with Charlie Miller. Great. Charlie Miller was one of the best magicians. Just great sleight of hand, really sweet guy. But he hid his light under a bushel. He wouldn't show magicians anything. He rarely would show magicians things. And if you said, hey, Charlie, show me a trick, he might show you the piano card trick or something. He was just so eccentric. You go, that's Charlie Miller doing the piano card trick? He goes, I don't want to show him anything. I'm not supposed to expose secrets. He was very eccentric and everything. But one day at lunch, we're just sitting there. He had a glass and a knife. And he said, oh, this is a nice routine. And one thing that he added to it was having a glass. And when you have if you just do the routine, remember what I said before about Mike Skinner said everything should have a magic moment. You cause it to happen at that moment. If you're just doing this and the papers appearing and disappearing and all that stuff, it's okay. It's a good trick. But Charlie added this glass, and he would tap it, and it would go ting, ting, ting. And now everyone's focused on the glass. And it goes ting, ting, ting. And then, he had taken the pieces off one at a time. And now there's nothing on the knife. And he goes ting, ting. And on the last one, ting, all the pieces. 2 on this side, 2 on this side. He takes them off. And it was like, And now when I show that to people, this is such a simple trick. So they just can't believe it. It's so simple, and you can do it anywhere. They have a knife anywhere. They have a glass anywhere, a paper anywhere. You can do it in a bar, a restaurant, a party, any place. And it's a perfect example of it's not what you do, it's how you do it, and it's how you get an effect out of something. The simplest things. I was talking about Ramsey, and I wanted to learn a knuckle-busting move. When I actually got the book and read it, I was kind of disappointed because he was just holding the coins in his palm like that. And every once in a while, he'd do something a little more difficult. He had to do that or transfer them or something. That was the hardest part. Yeah. But I thought, oh man, he's going to be high, and it's going to be knuckle-busting, and it's going to be transferring, and all these difficult moves. And I was going, Jesus, he's just holding it in his hand. But he fooled the best magicians in the world with that. Yeah. If you got time, I'll tell you this Ramsey story.
We have plenty of time, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Di Vernon had heard about this guy, John Ramsey, and that he was really great. But he didn't know what he did. He couldn't hear, he couldn't see him. He was in England. And so Gene Hugard, a New York magician, was going to England to a convention, or the UK. Ramsey was Scottish, but he was going to the UK, and he said, Gene, you got to tell me what this guy Ramsey does, because everyone says he's so great. Give me a report when you come back. Gene Hugard goes over, he comes back, and Vernon's chomping at the bit to tell me what does this guy do that's so great? And he says, well, he makes coins disappear. I said, well, we all make coins disappear. We all know, what was he? Does he palm them or does he lap them? And he goes, no, the coins just disappear. I said, come on, Gene. I'm a magician. I know. What does he? Does he have like a clip, or does he have a pull, or does he sleeve them, or does he? He said, Vernon. He holds up the coins and they melt away. How did you get that kind of an impression out of basically finger palming a coin? That's basically what he did. Yeah. But magicians will go, he says palming a coin. That's not even a palm. That's a palm. That's how a man palms a coin. That's just for weenies there. Just a hold of coin. That's not even magic, But It's what you do. It's what you make out of it. It's all
Yeah.
the subtle things, and
Yeah.
all the touches, and all the misdirection, and all these things come together. It's not one secret. What's the secret of the Ramsey cylinder coins? There's 50, 100 secrets. And if you only concentrate on how to hold the coins
Yeah.
and transfer the coins, you're missing the whole point. You're not going to get a magic effect. You're going to get a juggling trick. Which hand's it in? Which hand's it in? There's nothing magical about which hand's it in. But what's magical is when you take it and go, and the coin's gone. And the part of that's acting, it's body language, misdirection, being natural, motivating all your actions. There's all these little things that people don't think are important. They go, yeah, just give me the secret. Oh, it's a fake stack? Oh, yeah, okay. I got it. Got that one. You know, well, that's such a small
wrong.
part of what it is. How could Ramsey, with such a simple thing, fool the best minds in magic? That nobody knew what he was doing. Nobody knew what he was doing. He was fooling them all. Not just with that trick, with every trick he would do. It was so simple. And he would take like if you got a piece of paper here,
sure.
I'm just going to rip this off. Here. He had a cup and ball routine where he just had a couple paper cups instead of 3. And he had these little balls, and they would just appear out of nowhere. And he'd go into the routine, and then he'd produce the balls, and then there was a coil at the end and all this stuff. And the magicians, never could figure out how he, different elements of the trick. But one of the things that puzzled, how did he produce the balls to begin with? And they watched him several times, they could never figure it out. And one time they saw him, they kept asking, how? I'm not telling you. So one day they saw him at dinner, and they said, he was eating. And they said, John, could you show us that cup and ball? I won't do it. Show us that cup and ball routine. All right, well, I have the cup here. I have a cup here. And but we right into to produce the balls. How did that happen? Well, he had the balls palmed in his hand, or in this kind of a grip between these fingers. He had 3 balls there, like that. And he saw the guys coming over after asking him time and time again to do it. So he had them palmed, and he was eating his meal.
Yep.
And they said, no, I don't think I'll show you. Come on, show you. No, I don't think I'll. Well, okay. Boom, 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 boom. And it's like they come out of nowhere. And there was a principle he called hold and hide. Being prepared. Now, you might palm that, and nobody asks you to do it. Big deal. Drop it in your pocket, go about your business, But you say, here's an opportunity. They might ask me in this situation. I'll do that sometimes. I'll palm an extra coin or a card or something like that. And nobody asks me. Well. I even carry, I do a impromptu cup and ball routine where I produce I roll the bill in a ball, and that's the ball, and a coffee cup, and it appears and disappears and penetrates and does all the standard stuff. Then I cover the bill, and when I uncover it, a lemon's there, and the bill's gone. And then I take the knife that I've been using for a magic wand, and I cut it open, and there's the crumpled bill inside. So it all blends together and everything. But you can do this impromptu, and I've done it at a few parties where I preload the lemon, and I get everything ready, because I can borrow a cup and a knife at a party or something. And I've had it in my pocket. I've gone through the whole evening, and nobody asked me to do magic.
Right.
I went home, and I figured,
take it out of the lemon.
Tape it together when I get home. But when they say do a trick, I go, well, I don't know. I'm not really prepared. Do you have a cup? Do you have a knife? Oh, I guess I could I borrow a bill? You're right. Now it's a miracle. You're not prepared. And boom, where did that lemon come from? How did they get in the lemon? He wasn't even prepared for the thing. The effect is way beyond the means, because as a magician, it's making something out of nothing, a mountain out of a molehill. It's a theater, and magicians forget it's theater. You're interacting with people. You're not looking down and doing moves. You're interacting. You're making jokes. You have a plot maybe, and you're involving them and getting them, and that's what it's about. It's about making an impression on people and involving them and making them care about it somehow. Who cares if the bill appears in the lemon? But if it's a lot of fun and you're involving them and it's logical and it has interesting twist to it that they're not expecting. It's a surprise. The simplest things, that knife, such an impact. I can't tell you. They gasp, and you just go, I'm just doing that. I'm just doing that with my fingers doing the paddle move. It's nothing. But it's all the timing and when I'm taking them off and pretending to take them off and all that sort of thing. Yeah. That's on one of my DVDs and books too. But before I forget, I want to mention CarneyMagic.com because I have other products and books, and also on Facebook, Carney Magic, John Carney, Carney Magic on Facebook. I post videos of magicians. I put up Al Flosso and different people. It's just basically links from other sources and things, but people that I really admire and think are really great, and announcements of lectures and new products and things like that. So CarneyMagic.com and Facebook, Carney Magic and John Carney on Facebook.
Are you doing any little shorts of your own, maybe your own magic or maybe Mr. Misto, if I should,
I posted
maybe
photographs, not like special material. I haven't really done too many special material. I might put some jokes up there or something, some funny pictures, or, I have pictures of, people that I grew up admiring, Danny Dew and Fawcett Ross, and maybe a little story or something about it, and so I try to keep it entertaining. It's not just what I had for lunch. It's I try to put entertaining things, and it's very few. I don't put out new products all the time, so it's mostly for fun. It's mostly for fun.
Well, is Mr. Misto retired at all? Or
no, some people think that I'm not doing it anymore, but that's not so. It's just that I don't want that on my gravestone. Here lies John Carney, did Mr. Misto, Because some people see me do Misto, they don't know I do close-up magic.
Yeah.
Or they see me do close-up magic, they don't know I do stage magic, completely apart from Misto. And vice versa. And some people see me do coins, and they say, "Oh, I thought you were a card man, and cards, and I thought you were a coin man." I love it all.
It's the drawback from doing each of those things so well that they don't think that you do the other thing.
They just don't see. They see
it.
me perform once, and that's the only time they see me. Thank you, though. But
I believe it.
But he's not retired. I kind of went in different phases. This will expand a little bit. I went in different phases. When I first started learning magic, I didn't know a lot of technique. So I had to, and I was a shy person, and it gave me a way to sort of come out of my shell and be a little bit more talkative and, and kind of involve people and make jokes and everything. And I was kind of making up as I go along. And people say, well, the kid's got the gift of gab. And that's what they say. He's got the gift. It's funny. Especially, the tricks are good, but we really enjoy that little talk when you're talking and you're having fun and everything. And I go, oh, great. And then I got really technical. I started learning really technical moves, and I got artistic. And I'd have my pinky extended, and the cards were always squared beautifully, and everything was like a ballet as I put the cards down and all this stuff. And then the technique was better, and the magic was probably better, but it wasn't entertaining. It's like I couldn't entertain people with it. And I didn't have a market. So comedy clubs come along in the 80s, and I only did them for a few years, like 4 or 5 years, 6 years maybe. Comedy clubs, I go, well, there's a market, but I can't work on it. I don't have a stage act. So then I start working on Miser's Dream and the Egg Bag and the Linking Rings and a lot of stock things. And then I had some other things. But I start working comedy clubs, and I go, oh, well, now I have to have, funny things because they're drunk and they're hard to control, and I gotta go bam, 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 bam. I can't do anything subtle. I can't do anything not romantic or sentimental or anything like. I can't change the tone. It has to be bow, 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 bow. And that I have mother elements to my personality. Yeah. So I worked up an act where I'm kind of doing that. A lot of comedy props, a lot of comedy bits and visual things. And then I said, well, geez, I really want. I'm really sick of this. I remember a time when I was doing a show, and people were applauding. It was in the parlor at the Magic Castle. I'd been doing a lot of shows. It was a particularly good show after doing a bunch of comedy clubs, a bunch of private shows all in a row. Been working steady. Stuff was really honed. And I remember, finishing and saying, thank you, good night, hey, thank you. And I went back between the curtains, and I immediately dropped the act, and I go, I'm so sick of this. I've done it 10,000 times. So, and meanwhile, it was a particularly good show, and they're going, more, more. And I'm going, oh. I wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't go out. I just, they go, come on, more, we want more. And I just go, the hell with this. And I go, well, this ain't good. So I said, I gotta do something else. I gotta find something else. And I love comedy. I love acting. I've done improv. I've taken acting classes. I said, well, how do I incorporate characters into my act? And so I said, well, just pick one. Instead of trying to do 10 characters in the same show, just pick one and stick with it. And David Williamson, I was working on a routine, and it wasn't even a character. It was just, I had a hat, and I was spinning cards into a hat, and they were rising, and you're doing different effects with the hat and the cards. And at one point, I just took the hat off, and I went like this. I took a funny bow, and that was it. It wasn't a character. It wasn't a costume or a makeup or anything. And David said, oh, I'm doing Midnight Madness at the convention in Washington, D.C., Rich Block's convention. I'll pretend like I'm Johnny Carson, and I'll interview like we're on a talk show, and I'll interview that character of yours. And I go, character? I don't have a character. Well, it's just a guy with a hat, and I took a bow. And he goes, no, we'll do that. It'll be funny. It'll be funny. Well, Dave's a brilliant guy, and he's fearless, and he can improvise from nothing.
Yeah.
But I need a skeleton. I can improvise from a skeleton, but I don't want to walk out without any net. I want something prepared. So now I had like 2-3 months to prepare something. And I sat down and I go, who is this guy? And I kind of wrote a backstory. He was in the circus, and his mother was the bearded lady, and his father was a challenge regurgitator. And I wrote all these jokes and all these things. And then we incorporated it in the thing. And I go, well, what's the guy like? And I go, well, maybe he's like Harry Blackstone, and he talks very big like this. And he's very grandiose when he talks like this. Ha-ha! You know, and that was, and I go, well, he could be that, he could be this. I'm kind of thinking, and then I've got, what does he look like? And I'm kind of putting on these glasses, and I painted it, because Groucho painted on his mustache. So I just took a, eyebrow pencil or whatever and put this goatee and the thing on. I'm kind of looking at it, and I'm literally backstage going, because I had improv training, but I'm going, what am I going to do? I got to once you pick it, you have to commit to it. Sure. You can't change halfway. You can't drift out of character. You commit to it. So I already had these jokes. At least I had a safety net. We already had these jokes, and I thought some were really funny jokes. and I'm backstage, and I'm kind of going, here he is, Mr. I walk out and go, hey, ladies and gentlemen. And I stayed in character. Was a big hit, and walked off stage, and I go, I should make that part of my act. I should do that guy. So at first I did the Mice's Dream and the Egg Bag and all the things that I normally do as this character, but I had a trick I was working on where I bake a cake in a guy's shoe. I pour all the cake batter in the shoe, and eventually out comes a cupcake, and I give the guy a cupcake, and I had been working on it, but now I started to hone it. And it got simpler and more worked out, and that became Misto's routine. And so Misto does that 15 minutes. I thought I'd do a lot more tricks with him, but I go, no, that's it, 15 minutes. Did it for a long time, and then I started to get tired of Misto. And I said, I like other things. I like a little sentimental piece, and I want to do this. I want to expand. I want to grow. I want to do the same thing for the rest of my life. And so I said, now the next phase is being John but bigger, being John but bigger, and exploring these other things. Now I do a sentimental piece where I do an impression of Fawcett Ross. I talk about Fawcett Ross and the influence he had on me, and how I used to sit in his living room and he'd teach me tricks and tell stories. And I sit down and I do an impression of him telling a story and doing a trick. And I had another character called Dr. X, just a funny character, and a couple other things. But I don't want to be just Misto for the rest of my life. I want to be open to trying different things and learning new things. And that's part of the fun of magic, is not just doing the same. Some guys have to learn an act 5-10 minutes and they do it for the rest of their life. I don't know how they do it, because I would just get bored, and it's not. And it's fun to work on things. That's my job. I'm a magician. When I'm home, I'm not doing paperwork all day. I go, geez, I should work on that trick, and I make gimmicks, and I make things, and how can I work? I got to write patter for this, and I try it out, and I come back and I hone, so that's my job, is to come up with new things to do, and maybe I've never been really. I don't need to be famous. I don't need to be rich. It'd be nice if I worked enough to pay my bills and everything. But what I really want to do is just have fun, create things, perform, and grow a little bit in magic, and that's fun for me.
Yeah, sweet. I love it. That's a great attitude. Can you think off the cuff here of any Williamson stories that you could share that you could actually tell? Because I know you've had a lot of interactions with him.
Interactions. Yeah. No, Dave's one of my best friends. I don't know about telling a story about Dave, but Dave's kind of a hero for me because he's so fearless, and he's always pushing the boundaries. And like his wife Marcia is also a very good friend, and she would see him do a show, and he would kill, and people would just be going crazy and applauding and laughing, and he'd come off stage, and then Marcia, and she goes, "You didn't do anything new." Yeah, I guess you're right. So he's always trying, what can I do next time? Or how can I change that one thing and make it a little different next time? So he's fearless when he goes out and tries things. And I've seen him where he's trying something new, and it's not really going anywhere because he hasn't done it enough. He's just thought of it that afternoon or something. And I could see it's not going anywhere, and then boom, right at the end, he pulls it out, and he's a hero and everything. Yeah. So he's brilliant, and more than anything, I just admire that he tries and he's brave enough to try those things. And it's kind of reciprocal, because when I was like 20, 21, 22, something like that, I did one of my first lecture tours, and I traveled around the United States in a Greyhound bus. And one of the places I went to was Dayton, Ohio, and it was out of the way. There wasn't any other lectures near there, and I had to go way out of my way. And I go, do I want to go to Dayton? I could just go here. There's always, all right, I'll go to Dayton. And I went to Dayton, and there was a blizzard that night.
Oh yeah.
And there was a guy named Don Catane, a local guy there, and he said, well, I'll have it in my house. I think they were supposed to have it someplace, and it ended up being in his house or something. And only 5 people showed up. And I'm doing a lecture for 5 people. Not a big reaction. I had lecture notes for like $5 each. Sold 1 copy. Didn't make any money for the lecture. Made $5 for this. Had to get on a bus and go to the next thing. And it was like, I was so bummed out. Years later, a young man approached me and said, "Oh boy, I was in that audience in Dayton, and I'd never seen sleight of hand before. I'd only seen, apparatus magic or anything. You're the first guy that showed me sleight of hand magic and everything." And that was David Williamson, and so I gave him. And so he does that for other people. I do that for other people. You do that for other people. They see you, they inspire them, and get them started in the direction. But Dave, and people forget. And I push Dave all the time. I say, do more magic, do more magic. He's a great sleight of hand artist, very good, great thinker, and good hands. And I'm always trying to convince him, people know, they're so busy laughing that he tends to go toward that, and that's absolutely fine. But he has opportunities to do magic, and he loves magic, and he does it so perfectly. I'm trying to get him to do more straight magic, at least, fun straight magic.
Sure.
Because he's so good at it.
Yeah. Now, did you grow up in California?
No, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, okay. You're from Iowa. When did you move out? Did you go out intentionally to associate with other magicians out at the castle?
Oh yeah, sure. The castle was like, when I was a kid, I didn't subscribe to Genie, but a local guy had subscription, and I got his old issues, and I'm looking, and I go, oh my God, there's Di Vernon, and there's the Larsons, the beautiful Irene Larson, and it's California. That alone is like, it's so exotic to somebody from Iowa to think of California. That's where the Brady Bunch lived, And so I wanted to go out there, and I moved out there when I was about 23, and I've been out there ever since.
Yeah. Did you have? Did you always make your living doing magic? or did you have a
Yeah.
regular job, or to get a job out there?
Well, up till about 23. That's the last time I had a legitimate job, when I was 23. But up to that time, in like high school and everything, people said, "Well, you should do this, be a professional." I go, everyone would say, "Oh, it's so tough. It's so tough. Make it any kind of show business is so tough." And they basically convinced me I shouldn't do magic for a living, and it is very tough. But after struggling in retail, and I worked in an office, and I worked in clothing stores, and this and that, I'm struggling in those things. And I go, if I'm going to struggle, I'm going to struggle with something I like.
Yeah.
And so I decided to do it for a living, and I branched out, and it was really hard for the longest time. Literally a guy with holes in the bottom of his shoes, and and turning the lights off and all that kind of thing when I was like 23 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found the path, and I started. I found still not rich guy, but I'm doing what I like, and I'm paying the bills. I don't owe anybody any money. So I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm glad I moved to California.
I think you're doing better than
I can't imagine.
okay, but
I can't imagine not going out there and getting the experience of performing at the castle. They were very open to let me try things, and I tried different rooms, close-up, and I started doing more stage. I took a lot of chances. Sometimes they didn't pan out, but they gave me a place to grow. And there's Di Vernon there, and there's Larry Jennings, and there's people passing through town. There's Dr. Sawa. There's every night there'd be some guy, and it was just like going to college, and just absorbing this stuff every night, and it was great. I'm very grateful for the Magic Castle and for Di Vernon in particular, and Fawcett Ross, my first mentor.
Yeah, no, you definitely got to spend a lot of quality time with those guys, and you've talked a little bit about them. Who were the most influential and gave you like the best advice? If you can think of like encapsulating the best advice that you've received from the old masters, what?
Well, some of it was firsthand, and some of it was from books and things like that. So I didn't meet all those guys, and although I'd met Sladini several times, I never took lessons from him, never hung out with him. I'd see him at conventions, maybe have dinner with him a couple times, and I saw him at a couple different places. So I was influenced by him definitely. And when I got Magic of Sladini, I did everything move for move. I did it like a 90-year-old Italian man. Everything I did it like that. And eventually I started to adapt it to my own gestures. What I normally do, like this or whatever, and it became more natural for me. So you adapt it. You don't have to do it exactly like that, but you can be influenced by those things. But Vernon, Fawcett Ross. Now Fawcett wasn't like a super duper sleight of hand guy. He was very competent sleight of hand guy, but he was basically a stage guy. Did a lot of apparatus and everything, but he's great at routining things, and he was a charming guy, and did very entertaining magic. And he encouraged me with stage magic and gave me a lot of advice with stage magic. Charlie Miller, just from watching him mostly, he didn't show me a whole lot except through performance. And I mean, with coins, David Roth, I was like a huge David Roth fan. I still enjoy David Roth stuff, but when I was a kid, I did everything like David Roth. I saw him at a big convention when I was younger, and then I started imitating David Roth and moving like David Roth and everything. And eventually you adapt. And like I said, when I was doing everything artistic, that was Michael Skinner's influence, because Michael did everything slow. If you watch him on the Tonight Show, that was a big thing when I saw him on the Tonight Show. Mm-hmm. It's the first time I'd ever seen, or America had seen, most people had seen, the card in the envelope in the wallet, yep. Open Travelers, Matrix. Nobody was doing those things. Those are brand new when those came out. He came out and did all these tricks in a row. It's like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, Handsome guy with a tuxedo, or working in like casino in Las Vegas. It's like James Bond, So Michael was, besides Vernon, for sleight of hand, Mike Skinner was probably the biggest influence on me.
Yeah. Great influences, and we absolutely love what you've done here tonight, and the stories and information that you've shared with us. I just want to get just another big round of applause for John Carney for hanging out with us. just thank you so much
thank you.
for being here and for all of the great work that you've done over the years. And I look forward to all of the stuff that's coming in the future. And, hopefully we'll see Mr. Misto do another routine.
Yeah.
That'll be great. And thank you so much for supporting Live Magic. We'll see you next time.